You're listening to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast.
Here we go.
What are you playing there?
My hand. I can play that, or I can play that.
What was that? The Twilight Zone?
That's
Nice.
like that's my Halloween one.
Oh.
Or it can be a ray gun too.
Oh, it's a ray gun. It's definitely a ray gun.
It could be
Yeah.
the ray gun. Hack. Yeah, welcome back. This is the Getting Salty Experience podcast. It's the only one in the whole world that brings the Firehouse kitchen table to you.
I don't know about that.
Blockbuster guest tonight, Ruffy. We got him. After he yelled at you and everything. We got him, bro.
He yelled at Ruffy?
Oh, yeah.
did yell at me.
Yeah. Well, you deserved it, probably.
I did.
What'd
There's
you
no
do?
doubt about it.
We'll talk about it later.
Did you poke him in the chest?
No.
That wasn't. No.
He wanted to wait till he retired.
If he was poking him in the chest, he might wind up with whatever you got on your fucking thumb over there. I don't know what that is. What is that, bro?
I know what that is. That's not what men do. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Yeah. You know what it is? That's a paper cut. He had a paper cut, and he had to thumb it up. What is that?
Did you do? Did you get stitches?
Yeah, I sure did. I was sawing something with the Leatherman saw here. Let's see if I get. Yeah, there it is. Nice. It's a nice sharp.
How many stitches did you get?
Just 5. Nothing. It was nothing. But it was
snitches get stitches. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. I was laughing the whole way through. It was
Owen Muller.
shit.
I haven't seen Owen Muller in the chat for a long time.
What's he? Oh, finally
Coming
he
in
shows.
shit hot.
He's
Dipping up.
Yeah,
he's
Garrett Lingren's in there, bro. All of them saw Susie.
Miss Molly, Romper Room.
Yeah, great.
I see Susie,
Gabe.
Darren
Gabe.
DeFries,
all
MC's
in
audio.
You know who I'm gonna have
Probationary.
sitting in my kitchen table? I'm gonna have Jose and Gonzo. It's the Spanish Express coming to live with me for coming. I'm putting them up
Where'd you get that shirt?
from Petey from Ragtop.
How come I didn't get a shirt?
You weren't there. Maybe you got to show up.
Oh, you went to Red Top.
Yep. Jose's gonna be in. Jose's gonna be in there.
I'm taking them out. I'm taking them all out to dinner tomorrow night too. Me and the old lady.
Make sure you hide your valuables. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
Are they gonna be? No, they're gonna be okay. So they're coming to Long Beach. That's great. Where are you guys taking them?
And you could come out too if you want to make the trip.
Yeah, maybe. Where are you taking them?
Pete heard what? Free dinner? What? Who?
Wait, what?
No.
What?
Wait.
I'm
What day
taking
is
them
that?
to JJ Cooper's.
Oh, JJ Cooper's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll
man.
dig that. That
On
was fun.
Saturday?
No, it's
Friday.
not.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And he
Nice.
springs it on me. Then all of a sudden, you're picking me up at the airport, right? I'm like, what?
What?
What, Uber?
Easy.
Milner said, take him to Taco Bell.
Yeah, I'll be happy. Get a Taco Bell. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Shut up, silly woman.
Oh, that didn't go through. Oh, I know why.
I know
Some
why.
of my bitch. Some of my bitch.
Shut up, silly woman.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So what's going on, everybody? The Queen's
Nothing.
dead, by the way.
Yeah, she's not available
Who's
for
that?
overtime. She ain't
Not
coming around.
available.
Nope.
No.
Can't get her. Nope, she won't be coming on the show anytime soon. I can
No,
tell you that
it-
much.
We tried to get her. We almost had her.
We did.
Yeah. But
He
Petey
said,
was working it. Petey was working
She
it.
said when she turns 97, then all of a sudden she's not there. I don't know what happened.
I don't think I would sign the papers for 96. I think
Don't-
I'm out on 96.
I know
Don't we-
somebody who's tapping
What?
their toes today, though.
Who's that?
The prince who's soon to be King Charles with those ears.
Oh man, he's gonna fly right.
Is that
to
what
the throne.
happens? No, he becomes the king.
Yeah,
There's
bro.
gonna be a coronation, dude.
How does that work?
Oh,
Can you imagine that we flew our flags half fucking mast today for the Queen of England?
oh, why not? She's a
Yeah.
good woman.
Why
Whatever.
not? What?
so angry.
I wonder what this country was based in. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe trying to kill King George's.
What are you getting
Thugs.
excited
I
about?
don't know what he's.
The woman was
go-
96.
For crying
I
out
still have a
loud.
beef. I still
Let
have a
it,
beef.
let it go, will you? Go saw your
No.
other thumb off, will you? For crying out loud.
See this flag back here?
Yeah.
We
All right,
fought
listen.
for
I
that.
don't want to bore a blockbuster guest because
He's got to
I-
be sleeping.
I
like
am-
this.
he's got so many stories to tell. I'm on the seat of edge of my seat. Yeah,
We
that
gotta
thing
do our
too.
spots though. We
Yeah.
gotta pay the
Do the
bills.
spots really quick, and we'll get the pledge before Susie loses the drawers.
Well,
And
we'll get that when the chief comes in. So everybody, ladies and gentlemen,
right.
as always, bringing you the best top best sponsors in the game. That's right, New Jersey Fire Equipment Company.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Fire Hooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
Fabulous.
Nice.
All right, throw the other ones out there quick.
All right, real quick, guys. GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you will find t-shirts like this, or hats like the one Mr. Refrano is wearing, and much, much more. How we pay the bills around here. Oh, speaking of which, we have a week before me and Kev are down in Wildwood, man.
I have that on the list to the end. We'll talk about that. Yeah.
All right, we'll tell everyone else about that. But guys, if you want to support the show, head on over to GettinSaltyApparel.com. Also, guys, if you want to support us, hit us up in the super chat or the super thanks. Anything helps a little bit if you feel like it. If not, that's cool too. No worries. All good. But you guys are our number one sponsors, and we appreciate it. And thank you guys.
Yeah, man. It helps facilitate me taking a couple of Puerto Ricans out to dinner. So maybe you could send some shekels my way. All right, folks? Yeah,
it facilitates me paying my bills, to be honest with you. So there you go. All right. All right, thank you.
Were you trying to saw your wallet open by any chance to pay for dinner?
I wasn't. Actually, it's sealed shut. That
it is.
You ain't that thing is riveted close.
Boy, you guys are one track mind. These firefighters. Let me tell you.
All right, let's get him in here, dude.
Jose says he's a Dominican, by the way. So that's bad.
Yeah, whatever. Some shit. Let's get him in here, dude. Let's get him. We've tried to get this guy on. We had to wait for him to retire. He decides to do 6 decades of firefighting, 40-something plus years, almost 43 years.
Wow.
Let's get him in here, Pete. Deputy Chief Jay Jonas.
Nice.
Look at him. He looks better than you, cool.
No doubt.
A cast iron jaw, man. He's ready to step in the ring with Tyson.
All right, Chief. I'm gonna count to 20, and you have every right to run away and shut down the computer before we start this. So I'm giving you the disclaimer. If you want to run for the hills, I won't hold it against you.
Too late.
He feels like he's committed now. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that in a chief. Well, should we just do this pledge so Susie can. Yeah, we gotta be patriotic. You guys know the deal. On this day that the Queen is dead, ladies and gentlemen, the pledge of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent.
And to the dead Tories, your tea is in the harbor.
Chris in the chat said, Chief Jonas, blink your eyes twice if you hear against your will.
That classic. Who said that?
Christmas Fartis.
I was thinking, I was crying.
Oh my God,
That's awesome.
All right.
All right.
And you know what? We didn't have a word of the day.
You know what? Drink. Take it upon yourself to drink when you want. We're not doing it tonight.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, skip the word of the day.
I can't have Pete interrupting these important guests with honking the horn. So we'll go right into it.
Yeah, we'll just do one to set it off. Everybody, tonight it's fire away, drink on your own accord.
Right.
Cheers.
Okay. Chief, let's start off by saying it's an honor to have you on. We really appreciate sharing your career and all the guys you work with and all these dynamite stories you're about to lay on us. So let's jump right back. Go way back before a lot of these guys were born, probably. Let's go November 1970. It says your dad made a grab next door. I got to hear this.
I got into the fire service the way a lot of guys did, is because their dads did it or their uncles did it or their grandfathers did it. My father was a volunteer fireman in the Probationary Fire Company in Monroe, New York. And, it was a big thing to go to the firehouse on a Saturday. A lot of the other guys would bring their kids down. We'd climb all over the fire trucks. And, my mom didn't really appreciate it when we got home. We would crawl through the hose beds and everything. And, I couldn't wait to join. At the time it was 18 to join. And so I was counting it down. And then one night, it was election night in 1970. My neighbor's kid came banging on the door of our front house, and he said, our house is on fire. My sister's trapped. So my dad ran next door and made a couple forays into the house, coming out, throwing up, and taking her feed. And I think his third try found her, and he made a
Wow.
I'm standing there on the front lawn of my neighbor's house, and I'm watching this all unfold. And I'm, as a deputy chief, I recommend guys for medals and everything, and that was a legit grab.
I mean, we say that. That's the word we use, right, Chief? We're like, dude, that's a legit grab.
Yeah.
If you say those two words, right?
Yeah.
That's a legit grab. Yeah.
He came
That's
out and
the
goes,
real deal.
and that's how it's done, son. All right.
Now get me a beer. Go get a shaper over here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's a great story. So it's a 73. You were able to join the Probationary Fire Company in Monroe as a junior.
They changed it to 16 years old, and so bang, I was right away. I was joined with a few other guys, and initially they just had to have a parent who was a member of the fire department, and then they eased the restrictions with that. But I would come home from high school and I'd go to the firehouse and I'd do my homework at the firehouse because waiting to get a run. And there was one fire in particular that's memorable when I was in the volunteers. It was Thanksgiving Day of 1978. And it was a private dwelling fire. It was a mutual aid fire. Me and this one other guy marched through this private house, and we put the fire out. And the big part of the story was he became a New York City fireman too. He got appointed to Engine 58.
Wow.
And every Thanksgiving we call each other up, and we reminisce about the fire. These guys saw us coming out of the building. Wow, you guys look like real firemen, So,
did you catch any work with your old band?
Pardon?
You catch any work with your dad?
Yeah. He was active for several years when I first joined. So we went to several fires together. So
he must have been proud as hell when you got on the FDNY. Was he still around?
Yeah, he was actually. That's a little side story. I don't think my parents were exactly thrilled that I wanted to be a fireman. And I confronted them. I said, "What do you want me to work for the phone company like that? He hates his job."
Sheesh.
So, they warmed up to the thought of me being a fireman when I got on at West Point. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I'll talk about that when we get to that point. But after high school, I started Orange County Community College, and it was the mid-70s, so layoffs were in vogue, and there was all kinds of bad things going on if you were a young guy looking to become a fireman, and so this community college had a police science program. I said, well, let me give that a shot. You know, how far away from the fire service could it be? You know, and I started taking it, and I hated it.
I hated it.
Check
Hated
that off
it.
the list.
I was to the point where I was going to go to. I knew the Air Force had a program where you could become a firefighter in the Air Force, and I was looking at that. And then I was in the college bookstore one day. I saw they had stacks of, you know, Frank Brannigan's book. They had the NFPA handbook. Why are they selling these books here? Oh, they just started a fire science program.
Oh my God, you got to be.
I'm
kidding.
in.
Yeah.
And,
So you were crazy from when you were young. You that was
yeah,
it. You were crazed.
And most of the guys taking the course were guys, a lot of New York City firemen, a lot of firemen from Middletown, Newburgh, West Point. And most of them were there on the GI Bill. There was like a handful of us 18, 19, 20-year-olds who were jumping in and had a severe case of hero worship for all these guys, you know, who were the real deal, you know. And our professors were all New York City firemen: Bill Dietrich, Mike Heafy, Bob Mullins, Doug Mitchell, and they were great. And they really inspired us. You know, a lot of the younger guys who joined moved on into the fire service. One of them was Bobby Moore, had retired as a lieutenant, had a 33 truck, you know. So it was a real good program that almost everybody who took it advanced in their career, and it died a slow death after us. They couldn't get enough people to
Is that right?
to fill the ranks, you know. So, but it was good while I took it. You know, I happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
So, and then as part of that, you know, talking to guys who I was going to college with, they told me about the West Point Fire Department at the U.S. Military Academy. They had a program where they would hire guys for 4 months every summer, and because they opened up a firehouse where the cadets did their summer training out in Camp Buckner, and so they would hire 11, 12 guys every summer, and so I was going to college for fire science. In the summer, I was a paid fireman at West Point.
Wow, that's cool. Now, did it operate like a regular firehouse? Did you have tours? Was it 24 hours?
The place out of Camp Buckner was, you know, that the regular guys went out there, and they had us go to headquarters right there at West Point. So I was on, you know, going to fires right there. Well, I didn't do a lot of fire duty, but I was right there. Yeah, they had a 72-hour work week. They had 3 24s a week, which was daunting, you know. But I was a young kid, big kid. And
do they still have that program now, Chief? Do they still do that?
They don't, because they built a permanent station not too far from there, and you know, so they hired more permanent guys, but they don't have that temp program anymore. And there was a lot of, you know, like I said, you know, there was this, you know, several guys got on our job who were former West Point firemen. You know,
Oh shit.
you know, the last James Gordon Bennett Medal winner, Pat Matarazza, was an alumni of West Point. So
That's a pretty good. When you say you're from West Point fireman, that's it holds a little bit of water.
yeah.
You
Well,
know what I mean?
and you know what? It was really cool just being at that place. You know, being on West Point, seeing, if you have any appreciation for history, it's a place.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's
No
not
doubt.
only is it beautiful, but historically so important to us. You know, it's such an incredible place militarily. My God, yeah, that must have felt good.
The Queen passing today, you know, the West Point was a big deal for the defeat of the British.
That's right. Yeah, that's why they chose it,
Yeah.
because it was such a choke point for them.
Yeah.
That is correct.
But you know, I met so many good guys there. One guy in particular was the chief of department when I was there. Was a retired New York City battalion chief. Guy's name was Marty Henry, and he was a legend in 42 truck. He was a lieutenant and a captain there. And you know, I wanted to be a fireman. You know, and I went in to see him to talk to him about possibly getting on permanently at West Point. And he says, "You don't want this job. city's giving a test coming up. That's where you belong. So, so you know, I had guys there who were very supportive of my dream to do that. Guys like Don Feldman, Jerry Kiernan, John Alberino. We went to Pennsylvania State Fire School for a rescue school. So it was like a precursor to Proby School. We did scaling ladders and rope rescues. They had one day that was devoted to cave rescue. So we would go through the caves in Pennsylvania. And so that was good. And then after I got laid off in the fall of '77, my friend John Alberino got me a part-time job as an ambulance driver, EMT at a hospital-based ambulance in Middletown. And there's a picture of us there someplace.
I'll find it.
There was like 3 or 4 of us who were guys at West Point. There it is.
Wow. White jackets. Here come the white jackets.
There you go. Yeah. And so that was that experience between West Point and that really kind of prepared me for what the city was going to be like. You know, the hospital was, you were put in the middle of some big situations and you had to deal with it. So,
cool. He's really been doing it all his whole life. Like he really has been doing it his whole
16,
life.
man. 16.
That's
but really, it's almost as if he started when his dad made that grab.
Yeah.
It
was. I'll never forget that. That was
that's incredible.
Which is very deep into my brain, you know. So wow. I kept doing this. I kept working at West Point. In the summer, I finished up. I got my associate's degree from Orange County Community College in fire science, and it was like January '79. So I wasn't working at West Point. As a matter of fact, they did offer to continue me on in after I got laid off in '79. But at that time, I started getting some paperwork from the city. I said, I'm going to take this extension, and I'm going to be resigning in like 3 months, to get into the city. And so I told them that, there was another guy there who eventually became a city fireman. The guy's name was Dave Berg. And so I told him to carry him on. And as November 1979 approached, I became a New York City fireman.
That was a difficult test, right? That physical was tough. That's the one that the women came on, that job?
Yeah, that was a super test. They had when I was working at West Point, I had dumbbells and barbells, and I would load them in my car and I'd bring them to the fire so I could work out in the firehouse. He had that flexed arm hang. I went out and I bought a chin-up bar, and this guy Don Feldman would time me.
You had to do 2 minutes, right, or something like that. Hold it in a
for maximum.
Right. Yeah.
You had to hold on for a minute before you got any points. The clock started ticking after a minute, and if you made it to the minute, your arms were shaking, but the longer you stayed on, the more points with the clock.
Yeah.
And so you got to hold on with that. So that was at the Armory in the Sumner Revenue Armory, and that was just there was so many events going on. It was hard to comprehend everything that was going on. There was mile runs going on as guys were lifting up dummies and
the ledge walk, right?
The ledge walk, and doing an obstacle course. There's so many inputs going on. You really had to focus on what you were doing. So.
We should recreate that test and let Pete go through it.
Good luck.
With his bad thumb.
There was.
I'm smart, not like everybody says.
I remember taking that. The last event was the mile run, and I was so pumped up that I was doing good in my events. that you know, they say go, and I took off like a jackrabbit, and I hit a wall like at about the 3/4 mile.
3/4 mark. Oh my God! Yeah.
I was like, oh my
Come
God.
on, Jay, bring it home.
Come on, keep going. Come on, ladies, don't fail me out.
Don't run out of gas now.
Feet
man.
don't
Oh, my
fail me
God.
now.
But I did well enough to get, you know, to do get a
So
good.
in your Proby class, you met this fella named John Solka, John
Jesus.
Solka in Proby school.
Yes, he was the same guy that he is now back in Proby school. You know? We would be in formation, and you know, you're supposed to be stoic and quiet and everything, and he'd be talking behind you and making, you know, snide remarks, and guys are trying to hold back the laughter and everything. But he was, you know, we became lifelong friends after Proby school.
Did he ever get punished for that, like push-ups or whatever? Did someone catch on, or was he slick?
No, we had a small class. We had a class of 60.
Wow, that is a small class.
Yeah, and but our class had several luminaries. You know, we had the first guy I met in the process was Mike McPartland, was in my Proby class. Bob Sweeney was our Proby class.
Wow.
John Salka, Tommy McCavanagh, 3rd Division Commander. George Marshall was a battalion chief. We had 3 guys get killed in the line of duty. Steve Belson, Vinnie Brunton, and Scott LePedra were all in my class, you know. I was really honored. A few of the guys from my Proby class came to my retirement party, so I thought that was
really cool.
That was a great tribute from them. You know, that was great. So,
Anybody left on from your class?
pardon?
Anybody left on the job from your class, or
I was the last man standing.
last man standing?
Last of the Mohegans.
Good for you, Chief. Great job.
6 decades the man was on.
Yeah.
I could call him this guy, you know, and he called me and says, "All right, you got the mantle. I'm done."
Passing the baton.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, you know, it was a pretty, because the class was so small. You know, a lot of guys would try to keep in touch with each other. We've always tracked each other's travels, you know, over the years. And like I said, it was really nice to see some of them at my retirement party.
That was a pretty successful class then. All those chiefs, all those deputies.
Yeah.
And Bob Sweeney, who was chief of department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a...
Yeah. It was, I really liked it. You know, like the, you know, they had us do the scaling ladders. You know, some people call them the scary ladders. You know, and you had to click on and lay out, and
I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
This was towards the end. You know, you get up, you do the chain of scaling ladders, and we had. I got to the top. You know, I'm laying out, and one of my instructors, guy's last name was Goldback, and he, you know, the Atlas life belts didn't have a lock on them. They were just spring loaded, and he's slapping it, trying to upset me, you know, and everything. And I didn't flinch, and you know, he said, "Jonas, you did that pretty good. Have you ever been a fireman before?" And I'm trying to keep it on the down low.
Yeah. Don't
Tell him.
And but I knew if he asked me that question, he had the answer already. You know?
Right. Was that Ray Goldback or
No.
no?
I don't know if it was a relative, but it wasn't Ray. So I said, "Sir, yes, sir." I said, "Where were you a fireman?" I says, "I was a fireman at West Point." He says, "You mean going to elevator rescues all the time? You calling that a fireman?" You know?
Shit.
Sir, yes, sir. I said, "All
Yes,
right."
sir, that's it.
Yeah, but you know, you knew he had the answer, so there's no sense in lying.
Yeah.
Fireman. Never heard of it.
Yes. All right. So you get assigned to Engine 46 in the Bronx in 1980.
Wow.
That had to be rocking and rolling in the 80s. Right?
Nah, there's no fires there. There was nothing going on.
I was so fortunate to be assigned there. To be honest, they were busy. You know, as a matter of fact, my first day, I think I was in the firehouse 3 hours, and I caught my first job. And there were two guys at my retirement party we went to my first fire with, Mike Balnick and Mike McShay. And they were, you know, it was I couldn't believe it. You know, it was almost like sensory overload trying to go, you know, I'm here, now I'm going to a job. And you know, they grabbed me afterwards and said, "How'd you think you did?" I said, "I don't know. I kind of felt like I was in the way." He says, "Well, you were, you know." And so,
were you riding the back step then, Chief?
Riding the back step, yes.
Nice.
Wow.
Absolutely. And that was, you know, there was a lot of young guys in the engine. The truck was very senior. So all the young bucks come in, you know, there were two rules. Couldn't ride in the back by yourself. You had to have a partner. And you had to have your helmet on. Those are the two rules. And so it was one of the young guys came in and said, "Hey, you want to backstep it tonight?" Yeah, let's do it. You know, you throw your mask in the hose bed, and it was great. Like going to, you know, going on late night runs, particularly in the wintertime, you know, you get that biting cold, and all of a sudden you get the smell. It's, "Oh, we got a job," you know.
Oh, man.
Like you knew you were going to work before anybody in the cab, you know, and it was, I loved that backstep.
That had to be pretty amazing that time, right?
I think
man?
I'm
Because-
jealous of that story. I'm
Yeah.
jealous of that.
Was
man.
this
Holy shit.
was this pick at 46 here?
That was that 27 truck. That was
Okay. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
across the floor. Yeah.
Because I was trying to read the front piece.
It
And
did
was
look
little-
like a 6 there.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was a guy named John Galata. It was
I got
from
you.
56 truck.
Ah,
He was detailed to 27, to a 46, and he initiated CPR on this guy. So,
Wow. So in 1980, not that long, you get to meet in the winter of '80. You get to meet Vinny Dunn. So walk us through that.
well, you know, it's going to be a constant theme through my presentation today. Is like recognizing people who you want to be a mentor. You know, you wish you could be like, you know. And we get a phone call one morning, and I was on assistant house watch. That was a thing, you know. You had a senior guy, and then you had your tie on and your nameplate out and everything.
assistant house watch.
I never heard of that before. Assistant housewife?
Well,
It's like that movie Fast Times at Ridgemont. I was the assistant to the assistant manager.
they still had the bells going on like once or twice a week in the morning. So like that, I was terrified when we had the bells. I carried around a piece of chalk so like when I was on the upper so I could bang out the numbers.
Right.
I wouldn't lose track. And you know, I'd look for a senior guy. I said, "Listen up, I got the watch." It's all right. You know, those guys they knew what their boxes were. You know, it was amazing. But we got a phone call, and it was 48 engine. Yep. All right. So who is it? Okay. And the senior guy hangs up. It was Roger Gagnon, and he hangs up the phone. And he says, "Deputy's coming over." It's like, oh my God. And cleaning up coffee cups in the house, watching, you know, any coffee stains on the desk and everything. And I see a red car pull up. And I see a young guy get out. And says, "Oh, this must be the aide." And he walks in, he turns the corner. I see the Eagles. Says, "Holy shit, this guy's the deputy." And it was Vinny Dunn. You know, I'm banging on and he wanted to like come in stealth. You know, he wanted to come in and take a mark and leave, you know. And,
He didn't want to deal with anybody, right? He just wanted to come and leave.
all the
Right.
guys came down, and he's, you know, he had a roll call. Is all right. Everybody in the back, you know, in the kitchen, and we went in the back, and you know, we talked about, you know, some recent fires of note in the 7th Division, and it was such a positive visit. You know, it just impressed upon me so much. Like I came home and I told my wife, I says, "I saw who I want to be. I want to be that guy." You know. And,
Wow.
you know, like there are mentors and there are examples of who you want to be all around you. You just got to keep your eyes open. You got to spot them. And yeah, he really made a great impression upon me. In contrast, the second deputy that I met in the New York City Fire Department was a guy named Harry Waldron. And, he came, the same thing, the deputy's coming. All right, who is it? Harry Waldron is, that means nothing to me, and he comes in and he's loaded for bear. And he has a roll call, like one guy had a green fleece jacket and, and he's, oh, you fuckos. And
my word.
And it was like this little old man, and he was like Napoleon, and he
I love it.
He had the little man complex.
Taking shots at these guys, and I was like, what the hell is this all about?
They did 37 runs last night, and they don't have white. They got white socks on. They're gonna.
Yeah. So talk about a contrast of two different people. Different styles of leadership. I wonder who try to crawl through a fire-filled hallway for, And
did you know who Vinny Dunn was before he walked into the firehouse, or you had no idea?
No, first time I met him, he wasn't Vinny Dunn yet.
Oh, you mean Gettin Salty Experience alumnus, Vinny Dunn?
Oh, that guy.
He just started writing in WNYF. He didn't write his books yet or anything, So.
Oh, okay.
So this was the early stages of Vinny Dunn, And
wow, so he already impressed upon you, and he wasn't even the chief that we know.
I told him that. I told him, I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you don't, but you impressed the heck out of me, And so I told him.
What's a bigger compliment than that you can get, right? I mean, my God.
Came home, I told my wife, she doesn't know who Vinny Dunn was at the time, And I saw the guy. But then I crossed the floor, much to the chagrin of several guys in the engine. They didn't want me to go across the floor, but it was I wanted to do it, and a lot of good guys. The lot of the senior guys would tell me stories about what it was like. I had guys like Ray Henderson and Billy Carberry and Tom Murphy and Mike Lee, and they tell me all these stories. These guys got on in the mid to early '60s, and they were there for the burning of the Bronx. They saw it from beginning to end.
Right.
And the tips that they instilled upon me, just like little things, just make your job easier, and the bosses were incredible. Joe Sassone, Wally Wilkinson, I'll talk about him. Jim Shuffle was a captain. Then I had Joe Nardone was a captain, and Bob Schmidt, Lieutenant Eddie Keller was in the engine. These are all great guys, and they when you become an officer, you become a conglomerate of the guys that you work for, and you take their attributes and you apply them to yourself. And these guys were fantastic, So I was so fortunate to work with them.
We've
Chief,
talked about that. We've talked about that in the past. Where Louis says it a lot. Like the firefighter that you become is a little piece of everybody that you work with. You take all the goods and bads, and
the bad ones too. It's like, oh, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So,
but you say you want to, when you become an officer, you want to be like your officers. But what he just said was that you become, you really are your men, right? So you know what their strengths are, you know what their weaknesses are, and you actually become that. And then whenever you need to operate at something, you know who you can go to, you know who your guy is, because basically they're you, right? I mean, and that's what you're basically saying, right? Is you become all of your guys in some way.
Well, I had, like I said, this one guy, Ray Henderson. Guy was an iron worker. He was an iron lather. He'd be on the iron all day in between night tours, and he'd come in and do a heavy duty night tour in 20 stuff. And
did he have a bandage on his thumb?
He did not.
He did not.
I don't think the steel could penetrate his skin.
Tough, right?
he recognized, he was one group away from me, and he saw the way I was approaching studying and everything. And he said, look, you're going to be a boss. You're going to be a good boss. The only thing I can tell you is take care of the men, because the men are the guys that make you look good. So he said, never forget that. Always take care of your men. And the guys I was surrounded with, guys like Frankie Atkins and Jerry Bassiano and Dick DeAndrea, these guys were awesome, absolutely awesome guys, senior guys. There was a cadre of younger guys, John Morris and Bobby Bush, guys like that, and we all looked up to them. They were, like I said, we were in the throes of hero worship with these guys, and we. You're always trying to please them as a young fireman, and that never leaves you. These guys were almost like father figures to us. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but after 9/11, I had this incredible desire to make contact with them, with those guys. The guys that broke me in, and just to hear them say, "You did good, kid," and
oh my God, what's better than that, right? Nobody could. When you're a young guy, that's if you heard that from your senior guy who didn't say much, right? Like a guy who didn't really talk too much, you couldn't say better words. Like you couldn't get $1 million would be.
But he was hearing that 30 years later from these guys.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, again, you're always looking for somebody that you want to hitch your wagon to. And, this guy is so squared away. What makes him so squared away? And that's when I met Nick Visconti. We were living in the same town at the time. And, he was a covering captain, and he eventually got 48 engine as a captain, and boy, did we hit it off. And he was studying for battalion chief, and he invited me and a couple and another friend of mine, Mike Wilbur.
That's crazy.
Into their study group. They're studying for battalion chief. I'm studying for lieutenant. I'm a Johnny Bop studying for lieutenant, and but in order to impress them, I would stay up all night writing questions.
Yeah, you gotta do, bring your A game.
So
your A+ game.
Again, Nick we'll talk about it later, but Nick Visconti led the rescue effort to try to find us on September 11th. And hearing his voice, I'm talking to him on the radio, and we had to sing.
Wow.
I call him every September 11th, and we talk about, I tell him, don't pick up the phone. I leave him a message. He picks up the phone. I told you not to pick up the phone. So I gotta call him, and I leave a message, and I tell him about how comforting it was to hear his voice on the other side of that radio.
Oh yeah, I could see that, man.
Yeah, yep. So, all right.
So 27 truck.
27 truck.
We got to talk about the May 3rd, 82 grab then. You were in
yes.
On Hughes and East 182nd Street. Walk us through that one, Chief.
It was, again, 27 truck was a very senior place. It was a smattering of us younger guys in there, and it seemed like all the younger guys were working that night. And we had one guy who was a detail from the engine, Oriole Palmer. And
wow.
It was right after the change of tours on the night tour, and it was May, so it was one of the first real nice nights in the spring. And we get this call for Hughes in 182, and we had set the scene. We had a spare tiller. And this thing looks like it had been through the wall, and big smokestacks. They press the accelerator, big puff of
black smoke.
AOC would not appreciate.
The Green New Deal.
Oh my!
Out the window.
I'm
But
so triggered right now.
It looked bad, you know. It looked good, you know, and mechanical siren, and we're going to this run, and Wally Wilkinson was the lieutenant, and Wally's a big, strong guy, and he had this loud bellowing voice, and we're going. It's up near Arthur Avenue. We're going up the hill, and all of a sudden he bangs on the window and says, "We got a job," and we pull up, and it's not far from 88 and 38. It's just 3 or 4 blocks away. So we're definitely second due. But we see fire coming out the windows. It's auto exposing, and it's attracting a big crowd of people. And so I had the irons. Oreo Palmer had the can. And so we're heading inside. And we get to the fire floor. The fire floor is the 3rd floor. And so we're going to the 4th floor. And Wally Wilkinson leaves Oreo Palmer on the 3rd floor. He says, "Stay here." They didn't have water on it yet. And he says, if they lose water, you got to tell them we're above. And so we start heading up the stairs, me and Wally Wilkinson, and we force the door on the opposite side for an area of refuge, and we start crawling in, and it's bad. You know, it's like fire's auto exposing into the window, and I hear the room is crackling, and it's hot, and it's smoky, and you're crawling, and you're like, I don't know if I should be here now, you know, and all of a sudden, I heard something, and I was, geez, was that my mask or did I hear something else? So I stopped breathing for a second. I heard it was like a slight moan, and I crawled a little further, much to against my what you wanted to do. You want to get out of there.
Self-preservation,
and
Yeah, no doubt.
And I found him, and I pulled him out, and Lieutenant Wilkinson told me, take him downstairs. So I take him downstairs, and they start working on him, and he ended up succumbing like 2 or 3 weeks later. But
Pete, you got that picture? I think they're working on him, right?
I do.
Yeah. That's them working on it. It's John Galata working on him right there. Yeah.
Is that you on the top left? Is that your face there?
I don't think so.
Oh no.
But Mike Lively was our chauffeur, and like I said, there was a big crowd of people there, and this is right near the Italian section, Arthur Avenue, and Mike saunters up to these group of young ladies, and so you see that fireman over there? He's the one that saved your neighbor, and so she comes up to me, gives me a peck on the cheek, and the New York Post is there, bang, they take a picture.
I was about to say, I just want to make it clear, this is before your wife.
Yes.
All right. I want
Good
the
answer.
chief.
Good answer.
I want the chief to go home in one piece tonight. You know what I'm saying?
As a matter of fact, some guy saw the advertisement and says, "Was that Judy?" And I says, "No, no, that was somebody else."
That's how I roll. That's how I
That's
roll.
how I roll. Hero,
You made a grab. You got a peck on the cheek. And go on. But it was what was cool about that was
the fact that was a legit grab. We say that again.
Hey,
I
That's as
lived up to
legit
my
as they
dad,
get.
legit grab, and but it was the young guys that were working that day, and it was like the torch was passed, and guys were giving me, for several tours later, they're giving me pats on the back and congratulations, and you're trying to be humble and everything. Says, "Oh yeah, I was just in the right spot, everybody else would have executed it." And this one guy, Mike Lee, grabs me. He, as soon as I said that, it's like he put the grip of death on me. He says, "No," he says, "You did it. Other guys wouldn't have done what you did." He says, "You did it. Don't do that." And and they're whispering in my ear, says, "You might be the Daily News Hero of the Month award."
That's right. They used to do that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a big
I
thing.
remember that. That was a big thing, right?
And so I'm starting to get visions of grandeur. And the month moves on, and like the last week of the month, Engine 88 goes to a fire, and the boss is Captain Tough Timmy Gallagher.
Yeah,
he
Timmy.
I wrote about him in one of my newsletters. He rescues a multiply handicapped girl, and the apartment flashes over. He comes out of the apartment, and he's on fire.
Oh, he upped you. He one-upped you.
Oh my God!
He one-betted you.
One better glider.
I heard. I wasn't at the fire, but I heard about it. I says, I ain't getting shit.
You know,
that's legit.
Tough Timmy had another nickname. It was Timmy the Topper. So
he got the Daily News Hero of the Month award, and he got a Class 1. So it tells you exactly what
they give you for that, Chief?
I got an A. Yeah, good job, second grade fireman. Get out of here.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
gracious.
today that would have been.
Oh my God, that would be a 1. Yeah.
But you know what? It was like I said. It wasn't just me. It was the other young guys. Bobby Bush, John Morris, Oriole Palmer, and like I said, the torch had been passed. And what was I didn't realize it till I wrote about this fire too. There were 3 future deputy chiefs on that rig that night.
Jeez.
Bob Bush, me, and Oriole Palmer.
Right?
So that was.
Oriole Palmer was the guy that they was receiving transmissions from like the 80-something floor on 9/11, right?
Yep.
That's correct.
Yeah, he was working in the 7th Battalion on 9/11, and
he was in 138 for a while, Coops.
Yeah. No, he worked with my brother. That's where he knew my brother from.
He was promoted to deputy posthumously. He was on the list, So
amazing.
So
that's a great job.
So that's that.
So is this how it happened? Oh, so you're the guy that made the grab. Come on over to Rescue 3. Is that how that worked?
With grabs like that, you got to come over here.
So
like Jay.
Jay. I went for the interview with Captain Billy Ryan. And
what made you decide that you wanted to go to a rescue first? You're a busy truck, so.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's like you were like you get into that situation. Geez, I want more. I want to do more fires. And a couple of guys in 27 truck were trying to talk me out. We're doing a lot of fires here. I said, yeah, I want to do that though. I want to even do more. And so I got to Rescue 3, and it was another one of those places where in my career where you met guys and they just raised your game. Some of the bosses I worked with.
You only had about 6 years, right, Lou? Chief?
Yeah.
Wow, 6 years in Rescue
3.
Look at this guy.
Look at him. He looks like a middle linebacker, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Billy Ryan looking to get a youth movement. He brought in me, John Salker, John Norman, Jerry Murtha. Brought in all these young guys, and at any given time we could, you'd be in the back of the rescue truck, and you would have me, Salker, Norman. I was like, it's like the roster from the 27 Yankees coming out of the rescue.
So, that's some crew right there, guys. You named right there. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Again, you're looking for guys to emulate. Pete Lund was a fabulous.
Yeah.
He was. I don't know if anybody knows. He was killed in the line of duty soon after he retired in the volunteer. I think it was
out east. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but he was such an aggressive fireman, and he just upped my game. And a guy like. I worked for a short while before they formed Rescue 5, Steve Cassani. Steve was the ultimate professional, and I went to some really good fires with him when he came back to Rescue 1. And Joe Bryant, Marty McTeague,
wow.
Paul McFadden, you look back on it now, I'm glad I appreciated it.
Yeah, because you got the A team there. My goodness gracious, holy mackerel.
Yeah, I appreciated it at the time. I realized that how fortunate I was, to be working with these guys, so.
It never ceases to amaze me, Chief, that every single guy of your caliber, the Vinny Dunns that we have on the show, and all these other guys that we've had that are legends, they all say the same thing. Oh, this guy was great. That guy was great. I was trying to be like this one. I wanted to be that one. When I met him, I shat my pants. I couldn't believe it. And then here you are, and if I have to say that there's one characteristic that puts you in the same club as all of them, it's exactly that one right there.
Humble.
Unbelievable.
You
Unbelievable.
can't help but be humble because you've seen what these guys can do. And you just hope to live up to their standard, and
well, that's why it raises your game, right, Chief? I mean, in the end, if everybody's at a high level, you have to raise your game, right? If you want to be prideful and you want to impress and you want to do all that stuff, right?
Or you're left behind,
Yeah.
You either keep up or we'll find somebody else, So, but that was and it was all flyers all the time, I was talking to somebody recently. Said the 16th Battalion was on fire at the time. So many times we made a ride on Amsterdam Avenue going down to the 16th Battalion, and it was just ridiculous fire duty, And the 19th Battalion was ripping, and the 18th, and the 5-6 Battalion at the time before they were disbanded, and a lot of fire duty. And so it was. So I guess I got what I wanted. I wanted more fires, and I got them. It's hard to believe I was doing more than what 27 Truck was doing, but we did a lot. So
Right.
Were you already on the list at that point when you went there, or you got on the list after taking the test there?
I took the lieutenant's test after I got there, and that was competitive too. There was a lot of guys, Donnie Wasco and Joe and John Salka and John Norman, all those guys. You'd be studying, and then you're like, all right, I've had it. And put the books away. I'll hit it again tomorrow. And then you walk downstairs, and you pass 3 guys still studying. It's I'll give it.
Oh shit, Norman's still studying. What time is it?
That's so true, Chief. Because when you're in the study group, again, it raises your level, right? It does more just as a group of people than if you did it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Or it just it pushes you. That's all. It's the truth.
Well, and shortly before I got promoted, I was working with Paul McFadden, and it was after a good job we had, and he came up to me. He says, "Man, you're going to get promoted to lieutenant with 8 years on the job." He says, "But the 8 years that you put in is like dog years, It was
40.
It's like most guys don't get that amount of fire duty in 25. So he says you can hold your head up high when you stand in front of any company. So
you have any memorable jobs with Pete Lund that come to mind?
A lot, but all pretty routine, good top floor jobs. Working on the roof. He had me on the inside a lot with him. I loved doing forcible entry. And he was
middle linebacker, for God's sakes.
He was just terrific.
How did they split the rescue up back then? What were the positions, Chief?
You had a roof man, an outside vent man, and you had the forcible entry team. It was pretty much like the truck. This is before they made the other assignments once they came up with the SOC orders and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I was really fortunate to work with those guys, and a lot of good stories. Where I worked with Tommy McTeague a lot. He came out.
He's a nut.
Did you watch that show we did?
We had him on. He came on in a bathrobe. He had a bathrobe.
He looked
like
Hugh Hefner.
Yeah. If you had him, you got assigned to watch him.
Did he have the bulldog on his belly button at that time? Or
I don't know. I'm not.
Oh my God, that's great stories. But I could just mentioning his name is funny.
And like I remember going on a roof one time, and it was a real bad roof. And it was one of those things that everybody's waiting for somebody to say, "All right, let's get off the roof," and then you'd have a stampede of guys coming across the roof, And that happened, and then we got to the adjoining roof, and we looked back, and there's a saw still on the roof. Somebody left a saw behind.
Oh no!
And the fire's burning all around it, and it was like, who left their saw on the roof? And I think it was somebody from 42 Truck said, "It's our saw. We're punching it. It wouldn't start."
Nice.
So,
Kill it.
It was
punishing it.
That's
it was
funny.
a great place to work. Yeah.
So how do you get picked to start teaching in fire tech? Because you're not even a lieutenant yet, and you're already an instructor in fire tech in spring of '87.
Mike Loughlin was one of the partners of fire tech, and he was a chief in the 13th Battalion. And I guess they were always looking for a talent to teach for them. And he came. I'm in the house watch one day doing a watch, and he comes into the house watch. Says, "So what are you doing now?" "I'm on watch." And he says, "How would you like to teach for us?" I said, "Teach what?" And he says, "Well, we'll break you in on the young guys coming on the job. They're taking the fireman's test, and we'll set you up with a program, and then we'll go with that." And so I thought that was going to be it, and they would slowly work me into the promotion thing. And once I got promoted to lieutenant, they started the lieutenant's classes, and bang, they put me in like head first. All right, get in, kid. And I started teaching the guys studying for lieutenant.
I remember.
They don't even do that. They don't even do that in person anymore. It's all remote. Fire tech.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
That was a night out. That was.
Yeah, I still like to go to the. There was one in each borough, like every week it was a different borough, right, or something.
And
if I remember.
Who I used to sit across from was you had him on one of your earlier shows, was Dennis Gordon.
Oh yeah, right.
Dennis was he was in 38 Truck at the time, and we would both sit in the front row, and and the one in the Bronx was a place on Schurz Avenue, and it was the building's not there anymore. It was called German Stadium, and you could go there early, and they had the kitchen over. You could get this monster firehouse hamburger for if you wanted to have something to eat, and you could get a bottle of beer. So it was a social event as much as
it was a social event.
Yeah. So that and the electronic deposit ruined check night. Check night is a thing of history.
Right.
Go out to cash the checks, right?
No, you used to pick them up.
Oh, go out and pick them up. Oh my God!
They would have a guy. You call into the firehouse. They'd make a list. It says put Jonas's check to Monroe, and they would have a list of checks to go to Monroe, and a guy who was coming up to Monroe would bring
I got you.
10 paychecks up to the Sneeze Tavern in Monroe. And
everybody would go there.
Everybody be waiting.
Go to get our check.
And the guy who bought the check didn't pay for a drink the whole night.
Oh, hell no. He made the trip.
Yeah. So he saved them from having to drive down to the city to get
Right.
Oh, that's
but
funny.
that was a built-in night out, a check night.
That's funny.
Take everyone we can get, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. So October 15th, 87, you finally get set in that direction of being an officer, promoted to lieutenant, and assigned to the 1st Division.
Yeah.
To Manhattan with you, Mr. Jonas.
I was a boy boss. That was the day after my 30th birthday. I just turned 30, and at the time it was conventional thinking. If you worked in the Bronx, you went to the 5th Division in Harlem, and if you worked in the 5th Division, you went to the Bronx, and you went back and forth. And I was like, I want to see something else. I worked my time in 46 engine and 27 truck, and I saw that whole neighborhood and everything. And working in Rescue 3, I got to see Harlem and Washington Heights, and as well as more parts of the Bronx. I says, I want to see something different. I says, I want to see what it's like having fire in Gotham. And so I said, and I'm a big lover of history. I says, I think I'd like to see the 1st Division. And people were telling me, you're out of your freaking mind. you're going to spend your whole life in the car commuting down there. I says, oh, I've had some pretty bad commuting days in the Bronx too. So how bad can it be? You know?
I guess you and Chief Steve are more alike than I thought. He's a big history buff, big Manhattan buff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, look at the places that we worked in down there.
Yeah.
So I was bouncing around, and you know, my first vacation I'm covering is in 28 Engine, and you know, the first tour I'm working there, I go out. They have a parking lot adjacent to the firehouse. I go out to get something out of my car, and there's a junkie shooting up right in the parking lot. What's going on here? You know, and it was a major heroin.
Alphabet City, right? Isn't that Alphabet City over there?
And I caught a second alarm that night in a vacant that had squatters, and there was a 1045 there, and he had a lieutenant from mine truck come up to at the command post, and you had a homeless guy come up to the deputy and started like shaking him, and this guy from mine truck punches him out. It was like,
Okay.
I thought this was Gotham. Wait a minute.
It is Gotham.
Yeah.
I had a couple more fires that night, had a couple more fires during the day. I says, my God, 28 Engines, the busiest engine in the world. And, you know, that was a place where I walked in there, and I got a feel for the place right away. It reminded me a lot of 46 Engine and 27 truck. And as soon as I walked in there, I knew that Salka had worked there, and other friends of mine, Billy Byer and Billy Ohm. And so I knew that this was a quality place, and say I could work here, you know. And so when I did get assigned there, it was very, how can I put it? The guys there were very influential in cementing me as a boss, as a lieutenant. You know, the guys I worked with, you know, Vinny Romeo, Andy Trabanco, Richie Hickey, Eddie O'Connor, Tommy Hughes, George Belnavis, they taught me how to be a boss, you know. And the guys there were so receptive to them, you know. They were all drill fanatics, you know. They would drill all the time, and got to be, you know, like a guy like Andy Trabanco. I'd say I'd do the drill on the night tour, and the day tour he would do it, and we try to outdo each other. And these guys were fantastic. Andy Trabanco, what do you call it? He convinced me to go back to college to get my bachelor's degree. You know, so you know, very life-changing relationships with these guys, and again, you recognize it at the time, and you try to watch what they were doing and how they conducted themselves, and they taught me how to be a boss, you know, and how to take care of the guys, you know.
It made you look good.
Yeah. You know, take care of them, and they make you look good, you know. And several, yeah, and I was a drill fanatic, you know, and you know, my whole time as a company officer, and had this one drill, and I would buy books from fire engineering, trying to like come up with new ideas. I came up with this one drill on how to handle a Stokes basket from upper floors, and you know how to lower it, and different options. You could tie it to a portable ladder and lower it so it comes down on a skid kind of a thing. And I taught this one drill on multi-unit drill one time with the Stokes basket, and the guys were floored. I said, "We never seen this before." I says, "I know, I never saw it before either."
I just made it up.
And so the kicker to the story is, a half hour later, we get a call to the Con Edison plant where a guy almost cuts his leg off on a scaffolding, and we got to do a Stokes basket removal. Wow. And they're like, "How did Jonas know?"
He's walking on water.
How'd you get?
I approached my wife at the next company dance. She says, I don't know how your husband knows all these things that, you know, he drills on them and then we do them like
we do it. That's incredible, man.
So,
Good
How
stuff.
did you go from 28 to 11 though? How'd you get the spot in 11?
I was just covering in 28, and the spot I was actually UFO and 6 truck as a lieutenant, and I was just looking around, seeing what companies I wanted. I tried to get 3 truck, and I didn't get that, and but like in your travels, you just you whisper into the ear of the captain, says, I know you got this guy covering, like George Belnavis was covering there when I was bouncing around. But if you get a spot that opens up after him, I would love the spot. And that's something I pass along to all my guys. It says, if you see a spot you like, let it be known, because the best of spots have a way of opening up unexpectedly, and they're scrambling.
Yeah.
So I was working in 6 truck one night, and the division, the battalion commander, Artie Meadows, came in for drill. He was monitoring one of my drills, and he pulls me aside, and he says, "Lou, says, I've been watching you for a while now. He says, I really want you to get a spot in one of my companies in the battalion. He says, if there's anything I could do for you in the future, let me know." I said, "Well, thank you, Chief." So then the department orders comes down, and they filled 6 truck, so I was out. I wasn't. I didn't have my UFO spot anymore, and but then I also saw that a second spot opened up in 11 truck, and within a half hour, I got four phone calls. I got one from the captain, the battalion, the division, and the borough. They all said, "You want 11 truck?" Geez, I get 11 truck. So that's how that happened.
Petey, I think we got some pictures of the chief in 11 truck.
I will find them. Keep shooting. Keep going. Oh, here we go.
All right. There you go.
There we are. That's just an impromptu picture. It was I think we were just going out getting a meal. We had a guy riding with us, and so that's how that picture got taken. Look how young I look there.
You got the tie on too, Chief.
He's wearing a tie. Holy
tie,
mackerel.
The dungarees and the rubber coat. I love it.
Actually, no, they were legit pants. The boys had the dungarees, the officers didn't.
Oh, I see.
Oh, hey, pull up the other picture that the girl took of him on the street.
That's a good one, man.
That's a great shot too.
I was sitting in the rig by myself. The guys were in the supermarket getting the meal, and I had this young girl says she stops and she bangs on the door. She says, "Can I take your picture? I'm taking a photography class." So I said, "Sure." So I jumped out, and she took my picture, and she gave me one, and she took it. It was like,
she didn't give you a kiss too, did she?
No.
All right. Maybe she knew your reputation. I don't know.
I don't know. If your wife's in the back still listening, you might be on the couch tonight, Chief. I don't know what's going on. All these smooches you get.
Wouldn't be the first time for one of our guests being on the couch.
A definite snapshot in time, though. That was.
It definitely is, man.
You
look like a freaking baby.
Yeah.
A baby?
I was.
Baby Hulk?
I was a boy
the middle linebacker.
A boy boss. I love that. Yeah. So let's talk about the Union Square subway crash. You wrote an article for WNYF.
Yes, that was
first article.
I went to that, and it was such a dramatic scene. This subway crash. Yeah, the motorman was intoxicated, and he ran the train off the tracks, and it took out some columns, and people were killed and everything. And it was such a dramatic. It was such a dramatic scene, and it made an impression upon me. And I said, "Jesus, a lot of lessons learned about this event." I says, "Maybe I'll type them up." And I sat in front of my typewriter, and I just banged out like a 2-page letterhead report, and I just thought it was going to be sent to companies in the division. Things to look for when you're going down into the subways and everything. And there were so many Hearst tools working. You got carbon monoxide poisoning being in the subway. I have a picture of it someplace, and our noses are all cherry red, and but the division commander at the time was Dave Corcoran, and he's a real taskmaster kind of a guy, and if you did what he wanted you to do, he loved you, and if you didn't want to be on his bad side. But he, unbeknownst to me, he took my report and he didn't send it to the division. He sent it to WNYF, and I get a phone call from them. Hey, your article's going to be in the next issue of WNYF. It's like, that's what I didn't intend it to be an article. It was a lessons learned letterhead report, but that's how that all happened.
And there your author career began right there.
There it goes, right there.
There it goes.
Yeah.
And there it goes. Yeah.
And there it goes.
All right, so let's shoot up to 93. You get promoted to captain and to the 7th division.
Yes.
Louis gets on the job. And the 7th division, and you're covering in ladder 51, where you meet Frank Vignali.
Right. Frank, he and I would become good friends, and he ended up working for me when I was a deputy. He was my office manager in the 7th division, but he and I made a fast friendship there. He was in 51 truck. That was a real good place, 51, and they were doing ever increasing amounts of fire duty. As the work started moving up in that direction, and but I saw that I wasn't going to get a spot there because they were covering captains out there who were bouncing for 4 years, and I had one guy call me up. He says, "Don't get too comfortable. This is, I'm gonna put in for that spot," and I got the points, and he was right. So I got a phone call in 1994, the winter of '94, from Dave Corcoran. He says, "Hey, you want to come back to the 1st division?" I says, "Well, what are we talking about?" He said, "We'll see when we get here." And I said, "Well, I know 6 truck is going to open up, so." All right, we'll see, and then I got 6 truck, so.
Chinatown.
What's it like working there, Chief? It's crazy, isn't it?
A lot of Asians. Well,
that's true.
If you love history, it's the gangs of New York. If you read that book, that movie, that's where it happened. It all happened right there, and people think it's Lower Manhattan. It's nothing but high rises, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It's mostly old tenements and rear tenements and factories, and all these things that our books were written about happened there. This is where the genesis of some of those procedures happened, was right there. And
what street are they on, Chief? Exactly.
75 Canal Street, between
Canal.
Wow.
Between Allen and Eldridge. If you're coming from Brooklyn over the Manhattan Bridge, if you make a right coming off the bridge, they're 2 blocks away. You go right there, And
so it's like the jewelry district over there. Is that the jewelry thing?
Yeah. Yep. And they're all along the Bowery. So you got the Bowery, and you just had to be on your game with forcible entry. The places were fully occupied 24 hours a day. You had people sleeping in shifts, it was crazy. It was a real good spot. You didn't run a lot. I would tell guys who were covering lieutenants who were coming to fill a vacation in my house, and I told them, "Look, you're not going to run a lot. The Chinese don't mess around with us, So you get a phone alarm at 3 a.m, buckle your coat. You're going to work."
Yeah.
And you're going to turn the corner, and it's going to be a second on arrival. It's going to be
right. It's always.
So fully occupied, and if you could work there, if you could function there, fully, not just fire duty, but fire prevention. Like we would go to factories, garment factories. And I would stop the guys at the beginning of the BI period. I said, "I don't care if we don't leave this building." I says, "But it will be done right." Because like you go in there, there's locked exits in a factory, and there's smoking, and I see a guy at the press, and his 20 cigarette butts by his feet, and he says, "You're smoking in the factory." And he said, "No, I'm not." It's like, you're lying.
You're lying.
And so you had to be on your game, and I became very aware of the fires in loft buildings, and I became a buff of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire from 1911, and I ended up writing about it. We'll talk about it someday. And all those things that happened at the Triangle Factory fire, they're still going on today. There's still locked exits in factories, and gates on the exit windows, and sprinkler systems not working. So I would tell the guys, look, there's going to be another fire like that in our career sometime. Just don't be your name the last one on the building record card, And if it is your last name on the building record card, make sure everything is good, So, well, those guys knew how to handle that. They did that seamlessly. And in addition to the fires, they did shaft fires, all the things that you read about, they did it. They did fires like that.
It's a really fascinating place to work down there, man.
And like you said, like history, and again, I recognized how important it was to me to be there, while I was still there, And there's a picture of the 101 Christie Street fire.
Okay, is that the one that was?
Like
Yeah, I got it.
Fire coming out every orifice.
I was going to say it was a little bit involved. Hold on, it was more
like one of those a year.
It's like a shed fire. A shed fire.
Yeah.
This building, it was a SAG. The building's still there. This was a Chinese New Year's fire. With the fireworks and everything.
Right.
Chinese New Year, you're always good for some fires, and for some reason in the Chinese culture, it's forbidden for them to call a fire department.
What?
Yes, I was going to say that before, Chief. It's a cultural thing of embarrassment. They don't like calling the fire department. They'll try to put the fire out themselves before they call the fire department.
Two things with this fire. We got a brand new Proby. And it was his first night in the job.
Welcome.
He quit.
His name was his name was Bill Leahy, and he was the valedictorian of his Proby school class. And they said, you could pick wherever you want to go. He says, I want to go to 6th Truck in Chinatown. And Joe Higgins was one of the Proby school instructors, and he exploded. He says, are you out of your freaking mind? You can go to 111 Truck. And he says, but he was a buff in 6th Truck when he was So when he works his first night, he gets a second alarm on arrival and says, well, this is Leahy's first night.
Wow.
Wow, so he was the black cloud. He was the black cloud from that moment on.
He runs the burn center. He's the burn center guy. So
wow.
Yeah. And the other thing was
he hasn't left the burn center since his job, so
easy.
They pull us out, and who rolls in was Bill Feehan. He was I'm sure he was a deputy commissioner or if he was a staff chief at the time. But he saunters up to me. He was a former lieutenant in 6th Truck, and he comes up to me and says, hey, Cap, I think you needed the second can.
Yeah, nice stop.
Can job. By the way, interesting little thing. There's someone in the chat named Martin here whose grandma was a worker at the Triangle shirt factory and was homesick the day of the fire. I was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's like this. Like you hear the stories about 9/11 where and it just immediately went to that.
That's amazing. Yep.
Yeah. Triangle was I became, like I said, I became like a buff of that. I would again, we'll talk about this.
Save this for the next show. We got you coming back.
Save it, okay. But
Why don't we do another triangle one with
We are.
you?
We are.
I did notice that all these documentaries and everything, nobody talks about the guys who put that freaking fire out. They talk about the
landlord and the people.
The landlord, there was dude, and the people who jumped and everything. So nobody talks about the guys who put that fire out, and it's a real dramatic story.
Yeah.
All right, can't wait to do it. Ruffy, get the calendar out.
I already got it. I'm already working on it.
Excellent. So let's shoot up to December '94 and let's talk about the Tom Wiley fire.
Yes, yeah. I got that was Christmas week of '94, and early in the morning, and it was like single digits. It was really cold, and it was on Rutgers Street, 23 Rutgers Street, and the dispatcher's call. It's not that far away from the fire. It's only like 4 blocks away. So you're getting a lot of phone calls on this, and we pull up, and it's heavy smoke pumping out of every orifice, and there's a head at every window in that building. It's like, oh man, this is it's on, and so we it was a brownment, it was a brownstone turned into a tenement. I still at the stoop, so I go up the front stoop and I open the door, and this Chinese woman comes out like a zombie. It's like, oh my god. And it looks like the fire's on the 3rd floor, but heavy smoke is pushing behind her. And so I go to, I put my light by the baseboard, and I see heavy smoke coming up from below. This is coming up from the basement, So I head to the interior stairs, and they have it partitioned off with plywood. It comes down to like a gauntlet, So I'm in the stairs, and I'm like wedged against this wall and this plywood, and electric meters are above my head, and they start arcing. I said, man, I'm in a bad spot here.
Yeah.
And it's time to get out. And so we retreat, and we go down, we go underneath the stoop, and we make our way in a real long hallway, and it goes into this clear area. It's a Chinese gambling den. It got torched. And Tom Wiley, 18 truck, they went to the 3rd floor, and got tangled up, and he got trapped. And both him and the officer were taken out. They pulled them out, put them in 18 trucks bucket, and they were doing CPR on both of them. They were both revived at the scene, and Tom Wiley succumbed to his injuries once he got to the hospital.
I remember that. I was only on about a year and almost 2 years.
It was a matter of weeks. Like, he was only in the firehouse for
he was a Proby, right?
8 weeks,
Right.
That was during the period of time where they stopped having live smokehouse. They had the fake smoke and everything.
Yeah, we had the fake stuff. Yeah, the gas fire.
And right away, that brought that whole idea into question, that these guys weren't ready to take a feed, because his mask went out, and it was industrial strength chewy smoke. It was bad, and so it was terrible.
That's a shame. Yep.
I remember that.
So this is the story I want to hear. So the guys come up to you in the spring of '95, and they say, we want to get rid of the sticks, and we want a tillery cap. Make it happen. So how does that happen?
It's a little bit of a heavy lift, and I told them, so look, you just got a brand new rear mount. And they're like, we want a tiller. And they were slated to be a tiller forever, and then my predecessor, for an unknown reason, decided he wanted a rear mount. And it just didn't work. It was that neighborhood needs a tiller, maybe more than anyone, So I took my time. I started documenting boxes that we had a hard time getting into, documenting boxes that we couldn't get into. I got the Bobby Turner's father, Chief Turner. I got him on record as saying he orders ladder 6 to stay out of blocks so the 20 truck could get in with the tiller. And So I ended up writing like a 5-page report. And I get a phone call from the late great Jack Fanning, who died 9/11. He says, "You're getting your toe." So he says, we got 2 new tillers on order, and they're going to 175 and 147. So you could take the best shaped rig that they're turning in, because they wanted a couple spare tillers. And so we got it. We got the rig. And when we got it, guys came in from home and they were working on the rig. You know, they were painting
Nice.
and they were waxing it. You know, it was ready for annual inspection. You know, like right up Jump Street. You know, and you know, I told the guys, I says, look, I said, you know, you wanted this rig? I said, I wanted standing tall at all times. I said, we crossed by the Bowery, by the Manhattan Bridge. There's somebody from Peoria, Illinois, with a movie camera on you, and I don't want them to see 6 truck filthy. Says, keep it nice, keep the rig nice. And guys took great pride in that rig.
How long did that process take, Chief?
I would say about 3 months.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, you know, they made the decision, and says, you got it. You know, I guess the only holdup was waiting for the new rigs to come in. So I think we got 175's old rig. So and it was in really good shape, and we made it stand tall. We had Battalion Chief Joe Ebert in the 2nd Battalion thought it was a brand new rig. I said, no, it's not. Look at the serial number. It's an 89. So that rig's 5 years old. You know, he said, no, I'm telling you. So that was a rallying cry for that company. When I first got there, they had lost a lieutenant in the line of duty, George Lena, and so this was like something to pump the guys up, and so like we had a company meeting when I first got the spot, and I laid out my thoughts of what guys can do and can't do. They says, can we do mutuals across the floor? I says, yeah, absolutely. But if you're in the engine, don't assume that you're going to have the can. I'm breaking you in on everything. So they had up their game, and I told the guys in the truck, I said, you want to work the engine? They're a satellite. You better be up on your phone game. You better be really, ready to go when they're a specialized unit. So you can't just be a lump on the log with them. You gotta be able to function.
Yeah, this ain't a night off.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, and they used to go to some big fires in Brooklyn and
Right.
they had Midtown, downtown.
Yeah, the commercial stuff.
Yeah, they went to a lot of work, Engine 9, Satellite 1. So when I first got there, the guys were still reeling from the line of duty death, and
That's a tough spot to come in like that.
there was and I had the whole aftermath. I had the plaque dedication and all that stuff, and they had a trial for the arsonist and everything, and but so they had a couple guys who were looking to leave. They saw it as an opportunity to go to Staten Island, where they lived or whatever, and I said at this company meeting, I says, look, if you want to leave, don't let the door hit you in the ass. Get the fuck out. Get out. I says, you're abandoning your brothers in their time of need. Get out. I says, but if you stay, I'll make you the best ladder company in Manhattan. I know how to do it. And the guys who stayed there were like, the chest was out, and we were as good as anybody. 6 truck was a real good truck.
So let's jump right into the rope rescue then.
Yes, another one of those landmark fires. Yeah. In the context of time, Lower Manhattan was you had Watt Street was recent history. You had George Lena was recent history. And now we have this. They institute the fast truck procedures, and where the fast truck goes on the 1075, and you have to do a size up and check the aerial ladders and everything. They didn't give you a lot to go on, but the fast truck procedures were in. And this fire happens on East Fifth Street over by 28 and Engine and 11 truck off of Avenue C to the dead end. And we get called as a second alarm truck. We didn't even go as a fast truck. And the deputy was Mike Cuccio, and he sent the fast truck in to go to work. It was 9 truck. And he was about to send us in. He says, "Wait a minute, 6 truck. You're my fast truck." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm your second alarm truck." He's, "You're my fast truck." I was like, "Son of a bitch." And so I send the guys to do a lap around and do a size up and come back. And so, all right, there's 18 trucks aerial bucket. We know how to do that. 11 trucks aerial. We know how to use that. There's the ambulance. We got all our tools. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready, Cap. Almost on cue, like within 5 minutes. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is the officer of 15 Engine. We're on the top floor. We're trapped and we're out of there. And I looked at I looked at the deputy. Said, "Chief, we're going up." "Sorry, Cap." All right, 6 truck up the aerial ladder. And bang, up the aerial ladder we go. It's a 6-story new law tenement. And we get there, and it was an eye opener because it was hard to find where these guys were. There's heavy smoke coming up out of all these windows and everything, and so you're going around the perimeter trying to find them. And lo and behold, we find the lieutenant, and it was Bobby Ryan, and a fireman in a window, and it's at 2 different windows. So the Mayday came in that the entire engine was tracked, and we see 2 guys at 2 different windows. I says, "All right, what the hell are we going to do here?" And there was some guys up on the roof. There was a couple of guys from Rescue One who were working on the roof, and they didn't even hear the Mayday. They're cutting with the saws and everything, and the roof is becoming a very bad roof. And Hank Mollet and Paul Baldwin come up from Rescue One.
Hank Mollet. Huh. I've never heard of this guy, but okay.
Says, "All right, here's what we're going to do." And we're going to do 2 rope rescues. We'll have one that we're going to start it, and we're going to have 2 in the on-deck circle. And as soon as that one's done, we're going to go get the other guy. And depending on how many more guys show up windows, we may have to recycle these ropes and do another one. And so Hank was like Johnny on the spot. He just took it without me telling him, and he found a substantial object. And he says, "All right, that's good." And the roof is so bad, our mask face pieces are off so we could see. And we're coughing and gagging and throwing up, and trying to do a rope rescue under these conditions. And Paul Baldwin is a lower man. He's got his hand on the parapet, and Joe Hodges, my Tillerman, was the no, he was my chauffeur. I'm sorry. He was in the rope. He was the one that's going to be lowered. And just as he's about to lower, like in front of me, I see the bowline on the bike flash in front of my face. So wait a minute. I undo the bowline on the bike, and I grab him. I says, "Are you ready?" He said, "Yes." I grabbed Paul Baldwin. I said, "Are you ready?" He said, "Yes." "Then go." And over he went. And it was going great until all of a sudden the rope shifted once.
The weight.
Once he picked up Lieutenant Ryan, the rope shifted, and it caught the fleshy part of his hand between his thumb and his forefinger, and it caught it between the rope and the parapet, and it got caught up in there, and it was like we were dead. We were dead in the water, and I was like, "What the hell are we gonna do?" And Paul Schmidt from he was a lieutenant in Ladder 9. He comes up with a Crocodile Dundee knife out of his hip holster, and he said, "Now that's a knife." And
Boy,
Now that's a knife.
nice a knife.
we had, I forget who it was. We had a guy wrap around the rope. We're switching lowering men in mid-revolution. We got it. One of the guys was he gets wrapped up with the rope. He takes the 4 turns on the hook, and Paulie Schmidt cuts the guy's harness off.
Everything goes over.
There's like a free fall drop, and this is after Fitzpatrick Frisbee and everything. And so you think, this is all caught on video. NBC News was there, and they captured this free fall drop. Pete, I think I put a picture of this rescue in the stack. I don't remember if I saw it or not.
I just had I had this one that I just showed right here with the aftermath, right?
Yeah, that's the aftermath.
But let me dig while you keep. I don't think you did, but I'll double check. You keep telling me the story.
So how many times have we drilled on this thing that came about?
Oh my God! Yeah, when your hand gets caught, somebody's hand gets caught,
we've drilled on that hundreds of times after that.
So and it was and then Steve Cassani, Lieutenant of Rescue 1, he gets in from below and he's able to get the other guys. So we only have to do the 1 rope rescue. But now we're on this terrible roof. And it says, all right, let's cut a trench because the fire's coming this way. And so we that was definitely a landmark day in my career. That was a great day. I got down and to the street, and Mike Cuccio grabs me, the deputy, says, "Okay, what do you want? What do you want?" And I said, "Well, I want a class 1 for him, and we'll take a unit, and that's it." So that was pretty dramatic stuff. That was, and it was, it was the real deal.
legit.
Yeah,
Another one.
And it was, it was a lesson learned for me too. We go to Fantasy Island and we practice the rope evolutions and everything, and it's in pristine conditions. By definition, if you're taking out that rope in anger, it's bad.
It's scary. It's scary.
So it's scary, and
especially for a fireman, like you said. Yeah, for a fireman, it's things are going very bad.
We couldn't see. We were throwing up. I says, "All right, everybody ready?"
Jeez.
So like if you're drilling on this, like one of my lessons, old school tip of the day is challenge yourself. You think you're good at doing the life-saving rope evolution? Go into a dark room with no windows and do it like that. Challenge yourself, and because the conditions are never as they are at the rock.
We used to do with eyes closed, blacked out.
And have a glove get caught every time we used to practice.
Or I would yell in their face as loud as I could to try to get rattle them, get them all heated up.
Stressful time,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. So the next thing is the one I want to talk about here.
Exciting.
And this is what we've been waiting for. I've been waiting for to hear this story. For the guys people who don't know who are watching in the chat, the chief here was one of the few, very few, to actually survive the collapse of the Trade Center, or rode the collapse down. And so, Chief, take it away. Tell us about that story.
All right, you're going to get the Reader's Digest version.
All right.
Because we're going to run out of time. But,
yeah, don't worry about it. Pete can go to bed a little late. Go ahead.
my crew is Matt Komorowski, Mike Meldrum, Billy Butler, Tommy Falco, and Sal D'Agostino. A really good crew. And a lot of those guys I had with me. It was with different areas, different serious fires, and so we had a bond and a trust in each other, and so we're in the firehouse. We hear the jet go across the sky and hit the World Trade Center, hit the North Tower, and so we respond and we make it to the the front. We parked the rig, the front door of the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and as we're dismounting the rig, pieces of the building starting to fall off and hit our rig. So we retreated underneath the pedestrian bridge connecting the World Trade Center and the World Financial Center across the street. And we went back and forth a couple times to get our tools. And finally it was like, all right, ready, set, go. Nobody's coming down. Jump. And we ran to the front of the building. And once we get to the front of the building, there's 2 badly burned people right at the entrance to the building. And they were in the elevators when the plane hit. And they were badly burned. And vapors came down the elevator shaft. But now I've got my first decision of the day. Do I stop and help these 2 people, or I go upstairs and help a dozen people? And I saw a couple paramedics coming my way. I just signaled to them, and I just pointed to the people on the ground. And I head towards the command post. And
Pete, you have that picture of the chief actually coming in the trade center, I think.
Let's see.
It's like off of
Yes, I do.
So anyway, I'm approaching the command post, and I see this large group of firemen coming my way. And there I am going into the command post. And it's 3 truck led by Captain Patty Brown. And I see him. He says, Jay, don't bother reporting in. They're just going to send you upstairs. Come with me. And I said, this is too big to be skirting procedure. I said, let me report in. I'll see you upstairs. So he leaves, and he's got a day tour and a night tour with him. He's got half his company going up the stairs. And I'm waiting online. There's a line of company officers trying to get their orders from Pete Hayden, Joe Pfeiffer, and we're talking. What'd you see when you're reporting in? Guys from Rescue 1 were there, and they were like, from our vantage point, it was a gigantic plane. It was a big commercial jet, and so we're talking and chatting, and all of a sudden we hear a loud noise coming from the outside, a loud explosion, and we see pieces of flaming debris coming down around us outside. And we didn't know what that was. We thought there was something blew up in our building. And a man came running in from the outside and said, a second plane has just hit the South Tower.
Jeez.
And you could have heard a pin drop in the lobby. It was very noisy before. And Fireman from Rescue 1, Jerry Nevins, looks up. He says, we may not live through today. And
wow.
We stopped and we acknowledged what he said. And he says, you know what, you're right. And we stopped and we took the time to shake each other's hands and wish each other good luck. I hope I see you later. It's great knowing.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit.
I've never heard that, Chief, before.
No.
Out of all those guys I was surrounded by when the second plane hit the South Tower, I'm the only one that's alive. They all died. Then it was my turn to get orders. And I walk up to Pete Hayden. And, and I say to him, Chief, a second plane has just hit the South Tower, thinking that he was going to send me there. He had a very astute situational awareness of what was going on. He was really on his game. And, but I thought he was going to send me to the South Tower. And he just closed his eyes and he shook his head and he says, I know. Just take you guys upstairs in this building and do the best you can. And I gave him a salute. And I walk over to my guys and I said, all right, here's the deal. It's a raw deal, but this is what we have to do. We have to go upstairs for search and rescue in this building. And we can't use the elevators because they've been exposed to fire. So we got to do it on foot. And the last thing I told them, I says, they're trying to kill us, boys. So let's go. And to their credit, they all said, all right, Cap, we're with you. And we start heading for the B stairway of the North Tower. As we're about to hit the stairway, Sal D'Agostino turns to me and says, hey, Cap, I wonder where the Air Force is. And it struck me when he said that. It's like, geez, I've been to, thousands and thousands of fires in my career. I never wondered where the Air Force was going into a fire building. And so we started climbing the stairs. And I had a plan. My plan was to take it 10 floors at a time. Take it 10 floors, stop, get a drink, catch your breath, move on for another 10. That way, when we get to the 90th floor, we would have something left to fight the fire.
Yeah.
It wasn't just getting there. It's, you know, you had to operate once you got there. And so our plan was working, you know, and we're doing 10 floors at a time. And I get to the 27th floor, and I wanted to do a little head count and turn around and see make sure I still had all my guys. And I turned around, and I'm missing 2 guys. I said, all right, stop here, and we'll see if I can do it. When I go down, I find they were 4 and a half behind us. But by the time we made it back to the 27th floor, those guys were taking their break. They're catching their breath. They're getting a drink of water. And I said, all right, take your break now, and we'll push on to the 40th floor next time. We'll keep our 10th floor plan. And as we're, catching our breath, people were breaking into refrigerated vending machines and giving us Poland Spring water. People who were coming down.
Wow.
And I just ran into, I was talking to Andy Fredericks and Billy Burke. Captain Billy Burke was a former fireman of mine when he was in 11 truck, and I knew Andy from the Bronx. And we just finished saying hello to each other when we felt and experienced something that nobody ever felt or experienced before. Building felt like there was an earthquake going on. Our building shook violently, and it was swaying back and forth so much that you could barely stand up. And didn't really know what it was. The lights went out. They came on about 30 seconds later. And I looked at Billy Burke. I says, Billy, you go check the south windows. I'll check the north windows. We'll meet back here and see what we can find. What happened? And I checked the north windows. I couldn't see anything. And I'm waiting for Billy Burke at the stairway. And he's walking back, and he has a funny look on his face. And I look at him and says, well, Billy, what'd you say? Thinking that he would tell me a piece of our building fell off or something because the building swayed so violently. And he looks at me with a straight face. He said, the South Towers just collapsed. Knowing what that meant, knowing that thousands of people right next door to where we are just were killed. And some of them some of our friends. And, through all my studies in fire science and everything, and studying building construction over the years, I knew that prior to this day, a high-rise building had never collapsed before. There were major high-rise building fires in Philadelphia, New York, Los Angeles, Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I knew a high-rise building had never collapsed before from a fire. And now the sister building to the one we were in got hit after our building got hit, was down. It's like, it didn't take much of a mathematician to figure out that we're dead men walking. We're not going to make it out of here. And so I told our guys, let's go. Our mission is no longer doable. It's time for us to get out of here. And they balked. I was like, wow. I didn't stutter. I said, let's go. I said, it's time to go. And it turns out they didn't hear the conversation that I had with Billy Burke. They didn't know that the South Tower was down. I knew it was down. But they were resisting. The only thing they do is they just climbed 27 floors with 100 pounds of gear and equipment on their backs. And I'm saying, it's been real. It's time to go. And we start heading down the stairs. And we're making good time. And I got a knot in my stomach like you couldn't believe. I'm terrified, as we're going down the stairs. And my guys are cool. They couldn't be cool. And so I'm keeping my emotions under check. And we got to the 20th floor, and there's a woman standing in the doorway, and she's crying. And my guy stopped, and Tommy Falco looks at me. He says, hey, Cap, what do you want to do with her? I said, I'm thinking to myself, you're being pretty free with our time. I says, every second that we waste is 1 second closer to us not getting out of here. And then I looked at her. I was like, all right, bring her with us. You know, Billy Butler take her on, put her around his shoulders, and guys took his mask and his tools and said, all right, stay together as a group and we'll keep going, you know. And she wasn't walking well. She was involved in a car accident a couple of weeks prior. And, but now we're greatly slowed, you know, and coming down the stairs, you know, and so much so we had to move aside a couple of times to allow a lot of people to clear behind us. And, you know, people have asked me, says, what a monumental decision that was. And I says, well, yeah, looking back on it, it was, but at the time, it wasn't. It was, you know, this is what people were doing. This is what firemen were doing. We didn't.
I would say everybody would make that call for the most part. I mean, you're not going to walk past that.
We didn't come here for the, you know, for the World Trade Center experience. We came here to save somebody's life. And so, you know, she rapidly became the reason why we went there. You know, in our minds is, all right, there's mayhem all around us, but you're going to live, you know, and so we continue down the stairs. And as we're going down the stairs, there's all kinds of stuff going on, you know. One of the most memorable things was Patty Brown. You know, Pete Hayden gets on the radio and says, command post to ladder 3, command post to ladder 3. Get out of the building. Patty Brown gets on the radio. I get chills every time I even say it. He says, this is the officer of ladder company 3. I am on the 44th floor. I got too many burnt people with me. I'm not leaving them. I refuse the order.
Wow.
Did he really say that? That's incredible, man.
That's a quote. That's a quote. I refuse the order. All the guys from 3 truck, the day tour and the night tour, and all the people that were treating them were killed and collapsed. We go further down, and I see an aide from the 2nd Battalion, Faustino Apostle. He's standing in the doorway. And I say, hey, Faust, let's go. It's time to go. And says, that's okay, Cap. I'm waiting for the chief. His chief was Bill McGovern, and he was supervising some sort of rescue effort on that floor. And he was waiting for the chief. He wasn't going to leave his partner. He and the chief were killed in the collapse. And then further down the stairs to the 12th floor, and I see Mike Warcol, who was a lieutenant in 5 truck. And this was to be his last day in the New York City Fire Department.
I remember that story.
And he and a guy named John Santor, he was a stellar fireman, and a Proby, they were working on a man in the stairway. And I said, hey, Mike, let's go. It's time to go. And he says, that's all right, Jay. You have your civilian, we have ours. We'll be right behind you. I said, don't take too long, you know, and we continued down the stairs. And as we made our way down to, you know, we get to the 10th floor. Now I'm starting to think outside the box. I says, well, we're on the 10th floor. For some reason, we can't get out down here. We have all our ropes with us. We could rappel down this outside of the building, you know, and so you start to think of options, you know, that you could possibly use. And so we continue down the stairs, and I'm beginning to allow myself the luxury of thinking that we're going to make it. You know, we're going to get out of this. And we get to the 4th floor, and Josephine Harris falls to the floor, and she says, she starts yelling at us, leave her, you know, don't touch me, leave me alone, you know, leave me behind. You know, I was like, I'm not real happy with you right now, ma'am.
Yeah, no doubt.
We
You
just
slowed me up already.
just carried you down the stairs. So I'm thinking I'm gonna find a sturdy chair on this floor, on the 4th floor, we could put her in the sturdy chair, and we could pick her up and run with her. And I break into the 4th floor, and it's a mechanical equipment room floor. So there was there was a swivel chair and there was an overstuffed chair, you know. And I'm running. I'm way on the other side of the building, and something told me, you know, that voice on your shoulders said, "This ain't working out. You're gonna have to drag it down the stairs." So I did an about face. I started running back to the B stairway, and it starts. The collapse of the North Tower with us still inside, and I was able to gain access to the stairway, and my tillman, Matt Komorowski, was waiting for me on the landing, and the winds were so strong, it blew him down 2 flights of stairs. And I just dove, and we just started covering up and thinking that this is it.
What was the sound like, Chief?
It's a series of sounds. You heard the series sound of twisting steel all around you. And every time collapse at a pancake fashion, so every time a floor would hit another floor, it would be boom, 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 boom. But it was quick. It was like boom, 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 boom. And all the air that was in the building was being compressed. So it created strong wind, strong enough to pick Matt Komorowski up and throw him down 2 flights of stairs.
Wow.
And inside the building was peppered with debris. So you get pummeled with pieces of sheetrock or whatever else was coming down the stairs. And
did you hear it pass you, Chief? Like, did you hear it like coming, and then like?
I was the highest. I was on the 4th floor. Everybody else was spaced out below me, and no, it actually stopped like the rubble pile where the B stairway was probably about 6 stories tall.
This was the lady that you guys were saving.
Right. And that's my crew that was working that day. So,
what were you actually thinking? I know you thought this is it, but what were you really thinking? Like at that one time, were you like, I mean, I can't even imagine what that must have been like to be in that spot, to be one of the few people. This is the first time we really spoke to you about it. I didn't want to know it beforehand when we talked on the phone, the last couple of weeks.
There's the cross section of the B stairway after they pulled rubble out from beside it, and
I remember going in that stairway too.
You were in hyper survival mode. You were you didn't allow yourself the luxury of feeling sorry for yourself. It's like, let's go, we got to keep moving. As a matter of fact, when the collapse stopped, I gave out a roll call, see who we still had, and says, what about Sal, Mickey, Tommy, Matt, who am I forgetting? And everybody was accounted for, and I said, what about the woman? I didn't know her name yet. And Billy Butler says, yeah, she's right here. She's right in my face. And so our first inclination was to continue down the stairs, keep going down the stairs. And word came quickly up from below. You couldn't get out down there. You couldn't get out. You had Matt Komorowski, you had Jimmy McGlynn, and you had 3 guys from Engine 39.
39, yeah, I work with Jimmy McGlynn.
And couldn't get out. And
was it pitch black, Chief?
It was dark. You couldn't see. Eventually, what got us out is the smoke and dust cleared. Like 5 hours later, and we could make things out. But it was hard to process what you had just experienced. Nobody in this world has ever experienced anything close to that. A 110-story building coming down on you. I watch it on the news now. Like I'll see a documentary.
I can't stop watching them.
I'll see the North Tower coming down and says, Fireman don't survive 1-story garage collapses. And I survived a 110-story mega high-rise collapse. And I was at the bottom of it. And my whole crew lived. And the woman we were rescuing lived.
I was just going to say, Chief, did you ever, I mean, I'm sure you've thought about this and have had these questions before, but because of what she did, do you think that helped you to be in that one spot so you weren't outside? Let's say if she moved a little faster, you would have been outside and got killed outside, or if you would have been a little higher.
Yeah. We did a documentary like 2 or 3 weeks after 9/11 for NBC's Dateline. And they were the first one to connect those dots. That if we were a little faster, we would have been on the ground floor right outside the building. We would have been killed.
You would have killed, yeah.
If we were a little slower, we would have been above where we were. We would have been killed. We kind of had to be right there, right where we were. It's like,
yeah, it's incredible.
Mike Meldrum, my chauffeur, said, so it was kind of like she's like, this is where we're going to make our stand right here, and that's where we lived. We lived right there, and so it was incredible that we lived through that, and now we're trapped, and we're hearing all kinds of things going on, and lost my train of thought. The
You're hearing noises and
we heard Mike Warcola's Mayday. You know, he said, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is the officer allowed to fly on the B stairway, 12th floor. I'm trapped and I'm hurt bad. That Sal D'Agostino turns to me and says, Cap, did you get that? I said, yeah, I got it. And I started climbing up the stairway. You know, and you saw the stairway. It's there. It's like a bad vacant building stairway. You got to climb up banisters and move debris. And I make it to the 5th floor, and he gives a second Mayday. And make it to the half landing between the 5th and the 6th floor, and he gives a third Mayday. Each time he's more distraught. And the debris was so heavy I couldn't move it anymore. And then I just told him, sorry, Mike, I can't help you. And that was our first tragedy of the day, our first disappointment, that he was probably so close to us. So we passed him on the stairway. So his location was accurate, but as it turns out, the where he said he was didn't exist anymore. His Mayday was coming from. So, but now we're trapped. You know, what do we do? You know, we can't get out from below. We're still trying to comprehend what we just experienced, and so we're trying to figure out how to get out. And then, you know, I start to, you know, we're failing at trying to get ourselves out. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess I'm going to have to give out my own Mayday. And, you know, it's, you know, with the, you know, the rules of the New York City Fire Department for giving Maydays, there's only certain things you can give a Mayday for. And one of them is collapse occurred. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be accused of having an uncanny grasp of the obvious by saying Mayday. So, but I give it, and Tom Herring from this 6th Division gets on the radio right away. Ladder 6, we got you. B stairway, North Tower. You're on the 4th floor. So, all right, things are looking up, you know. And then as time goes on, you know, I'm starting to hear other guys get on the radio. John Salke gets on the radio. And these are all voices that not only some of the most competent people that I know, but some of them are close friends, you know. And so John Salke gets on the radio, so it's soothing to hear his voice. And my buddy Cliff Stabner, who lived not that far away from me, he got on the radio. Rescue 3 to Ladder 6, Captain Jay Jonas. This is Cliff. I'm coming to get you. Where are you? And I would tell him, oh, Tower, we stay away 4th floor, you know. And you know, he would ask us a series of questions, and he would end every radio transmission by saying, "I'm coming for you, brother. I'm coming for you."
Nice.
And it choked me up every time he said it. You know, every time he said it, it's like, I'm not worthy of this. You know, there must be other people out there who are in worse shape than we are. And but it really felt great to be on the receiving end of having the army of the New York City Fire Department coming to find you and to save your life. It's a very powerful thing. And you know, I mentioned Nick Visconti was a mentor of mine. He got put in charge of the rescue effort to find us. And he went around to guys and says, all right, pick 5 guys you know, and we're going to find these guys. And they had an organized rescue effort, and you know, he would get on the radio, and it was so soothing to hear his voice. He had a very distinctive voice. And he says, all right, Jay, I'm not that familiar with the building. Can you tell us how you got into the building? And I says, all right, we went through the glass doors, made a right. You first left the B stairways on the left, you came missing. You know, we got no idea what it looks like out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're thinking that they could just, you know, we know where we are on the footprint of this building. You know, they should be able to find us. And obviously, we were.
How long did it take them after you gave the Mayday, Chief, for them to come get you till you were removed?
4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
How did you manage in that 4 to 5 hours in terms of survival to keep each other's spirits up? Did you have water? Did you have anything on you?
I had no water. We found 1 can of soda, like grape knee-high soda. We passed that around, everybody taking a sip, but I saw it as looking at it now, it was a leadership opportunity, and it was, because like I said early in the collapse, I said, listen, guys, we survived this. We're not only going home, but we're going home today. And I'm sure they must have thought the captain has lost it. He got whacked by a brick.
He's got Dame Bramage.
And, but eventually I got buy-in. And this is, captain said, we're going home today. We're going home today. And so that really helped keep the spirits up within the building. And I'm talking to Nick Visconti. I'm talking to Billy Blage. And so I'm talking to Cliff. I'm talking to John Salka. I hear Ralph Tezo, the captain of Rescue 3, on the radio. He gets cut off by fire trying to find us. He needs to look for a hose line so he can get out. So it was an active scene that they were trying to find us. And while we were trapped, there was an explosion that happened immediately outside of our stairway, and it caused a secondary collapse. A piece of debris falling down around us, and it was the one time that Josephine lost her composure. She said that she was scared, and I said, "Look, we're all a little scared, Dawn. Let's just hang in there." And but I was so proud of my guys that they took it upon themselves, without orders from me, self-imposed discipline. They took care of this woman. This was an impossible situation for us, and we're used to calamity. She's not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
She's not. And they took time to talk to her about her grandchildren, kids, whatever they could talk to her about. They were talking to her. And during this secondary collapse, Mike Meldrum rolled his body on top of hers to deflect the debris from hitting her. And Sal D'Agostino, after it was over, gave his coat to her to keep her from getting hit with anything else. And they told him, listen, nothing is going to happen to you as long as we're here. You're going home today, And so again, it was like a leadership thing. I got buy-in from these guys. That, they were functioning. We were constantly looking for something, and eventually that something came. And that something was that the smoke and dust cleared to the point where sunshine was hitting the stairway, which was pretty dramatic stuff. I'm looking at a ray of sunshine coming down and hitting the stairway, and I'm thinking to myself, there used to be 106 floors over my head. Now I see a ray of sunshine. I think I'm on top of the World Trade Center. And
yeah, because looking at it from our point of view, I was walking back from the city into Queens over the 59th Street Bridge. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, you couldn't see nothing but black smoke and dust filling the air, thick. So a ray of sunshine coming in there must have felt like home to you.
Yeah. And we had a chief in the 11th Battalion who was trapped with us, and he wanted out. He wanted to get out. And I said, wait a minute. Let's let the smoke and dust clear and a little bit more so we can, I don't want to get whacked by a brick on the way out after surviving this. Let's make sure we're good to go.
Yeah.
And
smart.
The smoke and dust cleared to the point where we could see a fireman. So we rigged him up with a life-saving rope. I says, all right, make contact with that fireman. And when you make contact with that fireman, tie off the rope. We'll tie it off here, and I'll start sending people out on the rope. And we're on an elevated point in the rubble. You could exit the stairway, and you could walk, your hands on the rope and your feet on the rubble, and which is what we did, And those firemen that were contacted were from Ladder 43 and Engine 53. It was Lieutenant Glenn Rowan, led by Lieutenant Glenn Rowan.
Think about that, Chief. Not to interrupt you, but think about what those guys were doing, right? They know you're in there somewhere, like we all did, right? We've all would have done. But think about what initially, like even by the time we got down there, it was a couple hours later,
Yeah.
And you guys had already been removed. We had already heard that.
Yeah.
But think about the initial guys that were fucking crawling around in there trying to find guys. Like it's with active fires and everything going on. I still sometimes it boggles my mind even after all of this time.
Yeah, he was they were superb, you know, and Glenn made it into the building. But by the time he gets there, I said a lot of the people out of the building. You know, you still had the guys from 39 Engine. You had two firemen and Jimmy McGlynn who was still down there. So I gave Glenn a situational status report. It's all right. Here's Josephine. You know, she wasn't walking before the collapse. She's certainly walking now. And you're going to need Stokes basket stretcher and fresh guys. He said, okay. And so, you know, they've been in contact with Richard Prunty, Battalion Chief Richard Prunty, on the ground floor, the 39, and was talking to him. And we couldn't get to him. And we haven't heard from him in about an hour. You know, he was going deeper into shock every time we spoke to him. But he was on the other side of the rubble. We couldn't get to him. And they got to him the next day using torches and everything. They couldn't get to him with conventional tools, what we had. And then I says, oh, yeah. Right after the collapse, we got a Mayday from Mike Warcola, the lieutenant from Ladder 5. He was on a 12 stairway. B stairway, and he was trapped in her bed. And he looks at me. I says, all right, why the look? He said the 12th floor doesn't exist anymore. So that explained that. So we turned Josephine over to their care to extricate her, and we leave. And you know, we first get out, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, it's the first time I got a chance to look at it from the outside, and the both towers are down. You know, the characteristic arches are there. Numbers 4, 5, and 6 World Trade Center on fire. Number 7 World Trade Center's on fire. You got fire and smoke coming up out of the rubble, and it looks like we just got bombed, and we did. You know, that was just a bomb, and so we started making our way across and picking our way across the rubble field, which was, as you guys know, was not the easiest thing to do, and
there had to be some weird feeling, man. You're so happy to be alive, and then meanwhile, you know, everybody is gone.
Yeah, well, and I'll get to that in a second. We're making our way there, and we have to go across this deep ditch. You have to walk across an I-beam, and there was a herd of guys coming in, and we're trying to get out. And so one of the incoming guys to get on, and one of the outgoing guys to get on. So much so till it was just me left. I wanted to be the last guy, and I went to get on. A guy get on. I jumped off, let him come in. It happened a second time. Finally, the third time, another guy jumped on. I says, "Hey, brother, you mind if I get out of here?" And he looks up and he sees the ladder 6 front piece. He says, "Oh my God, you're the guys." Yeah, we're the guys. Going home. Yes, by all means. And off we went. And the West Street is 30 feet above us when we get to West Street, and they were dropping down ropes for people to climb up. You know, again, hand over hand on the rope with your feet on the rubble and making your way to
Right.
And that was a very satisfying part of the day for me, seeing my guys all make it to West Street. I felt once they made it to West Street, that's where the ambulances were, and they were gonna be okay. And it was just me and Mike Meldrum left, and Mike was my senior guy. Mike, you know, he got beat up pretty good, you know, and he's dehydrated and he's got something going on with his hip. I think he might have had a concussion, and he said, "Cap, I'm not climbing the rope." He said, "Yeah, you can, Mike, climb the rope." He said, No, go without me. He says, "Mike, I can't leave you. I got to stay here as long as you're here. You know, climb the rope." And he says, "I'm not doing it." So I'm thinking on my feet, how can I convince him to climb the rope? I says, "Mike, see that hill?" He said, "Yeah. Your wife and kids are on the other side of that hill. Climb the rope." And he did.
Wow.
He found the strength and courage to overcome his pain, and he climbed the rope. And make it to West Street. I go to the command post and I see Pete Hayden, and he he looks down at me. I look at him. We both start crying at the same time. He says, "Jay, it's good to see you. It's great to be here." And he says, "Get out of here," And so we go over to the ambulances. And Pete, this is where that picture. If you look at the ambulance on the stretcher, that's Billy Butler. And if you look alongside the ambulance, there's a guy sitting on the ground. That's Tommy Falco. And you see me sitting on some sort of a stool or bench or something there, leaning forward there against the ambulance.
Wow.
I saw guys taking pictures of us when we were there, and I didn't give it much thought until after 9/11 was over, and I said, "Geez, I'd love to have one of those pictures." And then I had maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I had a guy who did the History Channel documentary on the miracle of Stairway B. He was doing research for another 9/11 project, and he was going through reams and reams and reams of pictures. He calls me up from England. And he says, "I think I found a picture of you at an ambulance." I says, "Oh my God, I've been looking for that picture for 15 years."
Wow.
No way.
So that's a real poignant picture. That's right after we got out of the rubble.
Did you guys spend the night in the hospital there? Or you?
2 guys were removed to a hospital, Matt Komorowski and Billy Butler. Matt was
Right.
St. Vincent's, and Billy was taken to Hoboken. Yeah, I think it was Hoboken via ferry or fireboat or however he got there. And I was, my guys were talking and chatting and everything, and guys are talking. Like I had a poignant discussion with Tommy Falco when we were there. He says, "Cap, how many guys do you think we lost here today?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe a couple hundred." And I caught myself when I said it. It's a couple hundred. What the hell am I saying?
Yeah.
And the greatest life loss we had was the 23rd Street collapse, and I was 12. And,
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it turns out I was way off. It was 343. And then I had Jimmy Ritchie's come up to me while I was at the ambulance, and he said, "Jay," he says, "congratulations." Like, "Congratulations for what?" He says, "I heard all your radio transmissions. This is the most dramatic thing I've heard in my career. Congratulations." He said, "By the way, did you see Engine 4 here today?" I was like, I thought about it. I said, "No, I didn't." He says, "Oh," he says, "My son was working in Engine 4 today." And that just like opened up a whole avenue of like, oh my God, this is going to be catastrophic for the fire department. Because it's a family-based.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's how guys get into it. So the rest of it.
We gotta get going, Goobies.
But you know what? I actually, before I wanted to close it out because with something. I think this is a really tough subject for us. Lou, you're squirming. Kev, I know you're having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. How did you, Chief, deal with this emotionally? You've been carrying this for 21 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it's an important question to ask because, it's not over for a lot of people.
It never will be. I was honored to be in the presence of these guys doing what they did that day. I was never so proud to be a fireman as I was on September 11th, 2001. Under the most stressful conditions that you could possibly imagine. These guys were doing heroic things. They were functioning. They were doing great things. They raised the bar for everybody. And if you haven't come to that realization, then you're lagging behind. These guys were incredible. And I was happy that I got a chance to witness that. I had I'm fortunate that none of my guys died. All my guys lived, and the woman that we rescued lived. And if one of my guys died, my emotional health would have been greatly different. That would have been hard to deal with. And especially, when the collapse was happening, I'm kind of thinking to myself that these are my guys. I failed them. I didn't get them out. They were my responsibility. I didn't get them out. So, I was grateful for the crew that I had, that they were able to function the way they did. And again, I can't overestimate, how difficult it was to function that day. You had to muster up a tremendous amount of courage.
Oh, man.
Just to walk through the
Big
front
balls,
door.
man.
Just to walk through the front door. And so it's, it is something that, people who first meet me, they know my, a little bit about my story, that they kind of tiptoe around me. And finally I stop them and say, look, if you got a question, ask it. I'll answer your question. But it's not something that I keep hidden away in the back of my brain sometimes. I think about it all the time, so it's...
There's a picture, Chief, not to cut you. There's a picture of 288 walking up. Actually, it's a video. It's, again, like you said, when they started doing all these documentaries, all these videos and stuff came out.
Yeah.
And they were, and there's a video of 288 walking up. And you see the guys looking up. They're carrying an extra bottle. And they're walking up and they're looking up. The camera's in the street, on the sidewalk, looking at them, and they're all looking up. And it's Jonathan Ielpi, it's Joey Hunter, Ronnie Geese, Kerwin,
there was
Ryan Sweeney.
There was one documentary that I participated in. I think it was Dennis Smith's documentary on Report from Ground Zero. And Lee Ielpi was part of the documentary. And and he came out with a statement, and it was so telling that, firemen have a saying, when people rush out, we rush in, we charge in. You mean to tell me that firemen looked at that? They looked at that. And they said, we're going into that. He says, you're damn right they did.
You said it before you were talking, and that's what I actually post that every year since we've been doing this on our Instagram page or whatever, Facebook, all the social media. These guys knew what they were getting into, just like you said. You said it before. They knew it, and yet they still saddled up, man. They still went in there. They still did the job, and you can't say enough about how we do that and how guys do that, not just in New York, but across the country, right?
Yeah.
So
man, this
wasn't and we
a,
raised the bar.
This wasn't a one-room fire, bro. This wasn't you pull up, it's a one-room fire. This is like, holy shit.
Total devastation.
And the way you said it, we raised the bar on that one. There's no doubt.
And Chief, you did say before that, how you dealt with it is you looked at these people that you were with, your men, and that they were it gave you faith that it was like the best people on earth, and that you never been prouder. And I got to tell you, as a civilian in that time, we, as New Yorkers, born and raised, were never prouder in the history of our lives of you guys, of the PD, but especially what you guys gave. It's an emotional thing just to say, because I remember you saw a fire truck, you stood there at attention and you waved to them and you clapped for them. There were so many flags out. I'm sorry. It was, we've never been prouder of you guys. As a civilian, just a regular schmo, an idiot that you guys all see me every week. Thank you. Because we've never been prouder of you. All of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, great career. I can't. You talk about experiences. Holy crap!
I didn't realize all of the stuff that you've been at. I mean, I've heard you name my whole career.
Yeah.
And I never realized.
And now we're buddies. Look at us.
Until he yelled at me.
Oh boy.
And now he's going to be a regular part of the show.
Now he's going to be a regular.
That I hear anyway. This is what I'm hearing around town. We're hoping.
Got a whole page of things I didn't cover yet, so
we'll have to bring you back to finish that.
Maybe we'll bring you back.
Maybe we'll do that as right before we do the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. We'll finish it up.
We could do a combo, yeah. Sorry, boys.
It's all right, Petey.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
close to 9/11 too. So
yeah, it's just I can't wait to be with you guys this Sunday. That's why I keep over my shoulder here. There's the deceased poster of that piece of human waste. Bin Laden there, and I'm not over it. No one's over it.
Well,
so.
It's not like I'm definitely preaching to the choir. With this audience, but take the time Sunday to honor the day. Think about what these guys disregarded and for their own safety, and it was almost like they were signing up for a death sentence. But people needed our help. That's why we went up there.
And they went in anyway.
And there's thousands and thousands of people walking around New York City today because firemen and cops ran into that building.
No doubt about that.
And so they, the citizens of New York really owe their lives to them.
Never forget.
And never forgive.
Not just a catchphrase, Ruffy. Nope.
I understand.
Pete.
I think we're going to have a part 2 for the chief. That's what I think.
I would love to have a part 2 with the chief. Only one of the guys had a part 2. And who was it?
His boy.
Chief Dunn. Your boy, Chief Dunn. The only other guy with a part 2.
But we had to touch on this story in full.
In depth.
We haven't even got them getting promoted to chief yet. So I will save these 2 pages.
Please save them
for a part 2.
And then we'll have them on for the triangle thing.
Then we'll have them on for the triangle.
I got a whole page of old school tips of the day too.
Well, we're going to do the old school tips.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
But first, Pete, what do we have?
Well, actually, we have a little bit of a new segment here on the show. Let me just cue this. Yeah, we do. Our good friends at standby, the First Responder Center for Excellence, have asked us to prelude all the old school tips of the day with the old school health and safety tip of the day, or comments from their organization to you guys. So here we go. The First Responder Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges of the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS professionals, and other first responders. The goal is to reduce line-of-duty injuries and deaths, as well as occupational illnesses. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation. And today's old school health and safety tip of the day, so aptly, is we humbly today honor and remember the 343 FDNY members that gave their lives on 9/11/2001. We remember them and the many others who have died since 9/11 of 9/11 related illnesses. So I guess what they're saying there, guys, is to
get yourself
checked out, because 9/11 is every day for some people still. You guys can see the QR code on our screen. Please follow it to their site, firstrespondercenter.org, if you guys need any information. Remember, guys, you deserve the care and help that they can help provide. So definitely head on over there and check them out. And that was our first health and safety tip of the day.
I'm going to add to that. Everybody thinks they're invulnerable when they're young, but your health and safety starts from the first day that you get on the job. Like I say all the time, my dad and my brother died maybe 3 or 4 years after they retired from the job. So your health is number one and the salty stuff and everything else is secondary. Make sure you get yourself checked out. Do everything you need to do in order to live a long life after you retire.
Yeah, because your family needs you the way everyone else needed you all these years.
And now, Pete.
What time is it?
Now. Oh.
What?
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll with the old school tip of the day.
I'm the GOAT. All right, Chief, give it.
Okay. The old school tips of the day, just what we talked about earlier, is be better. Challenge yourself. Look around you. See who shines. As mentors, the mentors around you are everywhere. Pick them out. Recognize them. Look for the sharp guys. When you're better, others are better around you. So be that guy. Be that guy. One of the guys that broke me in a 27 truck, I always think of him, and he said, when I first got to the truck from the engine, he says, "Look, you're a big kid. Anybody could be a truckie, if you're big and strong." He says, "But you want to be a good truckie, use your brain, not your muscles. If you can go through the lock instead of like breaking down the door, do it. Don't pull a whole room full of ceilings if you only have to pull a little bit, where it flies extending. So, be smart, use your brain." One of the statements I like the best is an Andy Fredericks quote about being ready to go to fire duty. Says, "You think a garbage man gets on his truck and gets upset when he sees garbage on the corner?" No, he should be expecting to see garbage. You get on a fire truck going to a fire, expect to see a fire. Don't get caught by surprise. Never forget how much you wanted the job before you got the job. We get wrapped up with elements of the day and things that get done, but always remind yourself what it was like, how you felt before you got on the job, and how much you wanted it. Leadership. Teach others. Be that guy. Be the officer or the senior man. That's a very influential experience to have young firemen looking up to you and you being able to teach them. When and they'll remember you forever. I had my retirement party in July, and guys who worked for me 30 years ago came to my retirement party, and they still call me Cap or Lou, whatever rank I worked in, and I take that as an honor that they still know me as Cap or Lou, and that's a badge of honor. Take personal interest in your people, and that may sound cliche, but I had a fireman who I really liked, and he fell into a bad time, and he started having a drinking problem, and we ended up sending him to the counseling unit. And like I said, I really liked this guy, and I wanted him to know that we really want him back. So I got some stationery. Actually, there's a picture of an old firehouse, and I told him in this letter, I said, we want you back. We want you to get better. We think you're a valuable person in this firehouse. And he got that letter at the right time, and because he was feeling he had no self-worth, and he got this letter, and he it picked up his spirits, and he made it back. He made it back to the firehouse. And this fireman came to my retirement party, and he produced the letter. He saw the letter. So take a personal interest in your people. We're talking about 9/11 and how many great leaders there were that day. Being a great leader is developed over time. It's cultivated over time. you know, it's the guys who were great leaders on September 11th were great leaders on September 10th. You know, it's not like they woke up September 11th and said, today's the day, you know, I'm going to be a great leader, you know, and but that's cultivated over time. Be a good leader all the time. And that's it. You know, like I said, it was what the fireman who responded to Box 8087 did on September 11th. Is nothing short of remarkable. I was never so proud to be a fireman as I was that day. And make sure you take the time out this weekend and honor them. That's it.
Excellent job, Chief. And
Chief, we keep outdoing ourselves every show.
I don't know how we do it.
I don't know. I don't know
how we do it.
Hold on. My
you
shoulder.
can't reach yourself. Look,
another goat.
They are clamoring for you for a part 2 in the chat here, Chief. Also, I want to let you know that Cliff Snabder was in the chat. One of the funniest guys, man, I've ever met. Very funny guy.
Chief, you know, we if you'd like, if you're having a hard time deciding if you want to come back for a part 2, we'll allow you to yell at Lou on the air live.
Yes, that would be great. I never liked you, Rafrano.
The first time a chief yelled at me.
No, it won't be the last. So I'm going to save this paper here. Put it.
Yeah, save that. I'll talk to the chief. We'll figure out a date. What's best for him, and
get him on the books for the other things, the other stuff.
Technical producer over there.
Yes, another guy that married up. I love it. All right, Pete. What else? Anybody got a shout out? Because I got a couple of them.
I know Louis has one.
Yeah, I had a shout out. I just wanted to. I don't know.
Just find it real quick, Lou.
This was, I get a lot of these sent to me. Unfortunately, we can't do all of them, but this was one that really stuck out to me. This is Colin's Cause. This kid has a rare disease that I think, I don't even know if it says it on there, Pete,
called STXBP1. It's a rare genetic neurodevelopment disease that results in severe intellectual disability, developmental delays,
750 cases worldwide.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
Man.
So Saturday, September 17th, there is a GoFundMe page, but at Fatty McGee's, is that? Fatty McGee's? On the 17th in East Islip.
Sorry about that. I'll tell you right now. Sorry,
They're
folks.
having a auction, and if you have
Fatty McGee's.
Fatty McGee's. If there's
138 Connecticut Ave, East Islip, New York. Fatty McGee's.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a GoFundMe. So I'm sure if you check Colin's Cause, whatever that is at the top there, I'm sure you could find it. If you want to donate some stuff for the raffle baskets, hit them up.
And Pete said for every $1 you donate, Pete will donate another $1.
I will what I'll do is I'll saw with my Leatherman into my wallet, and then if I have any digits left, I will pull out some cash. Of course.
All right. I got a couple of shout outs here. Procaccini, Mrs. Procaccini's husband. It's his son's birthday, Dylan. He's going to be 10 years old on Sunday the 11th. Happy birthday, Dylan.
Happy birthday, kid.
Pete and I will be in Wildwood, 15th, 16th, and 17th down in Jersey, located in the space of the ball field 1, right inside the entrance off Ocean Avenue, across from the stage, with our boys, Jamie and Billy from One Source. They have a large variety of Phoenix TL2 leather helmets for sale with the show special pricing. So come out and see them at Nightstick, Vanguard, Safety, Lighting, X, Viking, Majestic. Make sure you get the
sniff on Jamie. He always smells good. He's
got he does. Yeah. There's another guy though, never comes out of his wallet, right? We always call him Jamie Free. He's always looking for the free.
He paid last time.
Come on. He's got one up on Pete. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, we're even.
We'll also Ruffy and I will be in Ohio on the 28th, 29th, and 30th at the Firehouse Magazine Expo, booth 1802. And last but not least, on a sad note, we've had another line of duty, 9/11 related death, illness. Captain Paul Smallsreed Jr. He was the captain of the FDNY chauffeur training. they wrote in saying Paul was a sweet and humble man, always putting others before himself. So line of duty death, we're going to give Captain Paul 5 bells. Rest in peace, brother. Ruffy and I will be at Squadron Company 288 on Sunday, as always,
I'll be with you
9/11.
too.
Pete will be there as well, along with Jose Gonzo and I think Sammy Peters and whoever else is making the trip from out of the state. Chief, thank you. Great show. I appreciate it so much.
Did you want to say anything, Chief? Did you have anything, or you want to wait for
yes.
part
Oh,
two?
I think you had a couple of shout outs.
Now, I would like to thank the guys who from 48 Engine 56 Truck and Division 7 who helped put my retirement party together. Jerry Joe Maxwell who took a leadership role, as well as my nephew Jeremy Castle.
That's your nephew?
Holy mackerel.
didn't know
Wait
that.
a minute.
Oh, Jeremy's in Rescue 3.
First Houston Squad 61. I've never done this before. I see.
I'm actually going to text him right now. I have his number.
He is the son of my wife's brother.
Cat's out of the
all
bag,
right.
Jeremy.
Is he still up here? Is he still
I
live up
find you, Jeremy.
Yeah. He threatened to get on the radio when Kevin Williams was a lieutenant in Rescue 3. And Rescue 3 roof to Uncle Jay, the roof is open, you know.
I didn't know it. Oh, sis,
Never
you should
did it.
follow through.
He threatened them
Nice.
enough to get adjutant, you know. So
Nice.
We will have the chief on for part 2, along with we're going to try to get him for other notable fires. And since
We'll
he
do
is
back in the days, we'll do back
in the days with Chief Jay Jonas now as a regular segment, if he'll have us.
We have to pay him a lot, probably.
We do. I didn't hear him say yes. Okay, so we'll leave it as a maybe.
He's gonna know what the hell he was in
That
for.
is a maybe. All right.
He's like, I don't know if I want to do this show.
All right,
Chief, it was a
Piper.
pleasure, man. It really enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ones. I enjoyed it. Very
Yep,
good.
absolutely. Guys, really quick, we're gonna bang through these fast. You know, we're on all the audio players, so you can listen to the show as well. Check it out. Check us out everywhere and anywhere we're on it. YouTube.com/Gettin Salty Experience, where you should like, subscribe, and share for all the video updates. Okay. Instagram, find us at Salty Dog Inc. GettinSaltyApparel.com. That's how we pay these bills. And Mr. Refrano gets to light cigars with $100 bills all the time. You know, that's how he rolls. Super chat. Thank you to everyone in the super chat and the super thanks, guys. That was really nice of you tonight. Appreciate it. Facebook, guys, Getting Salty Fans page. You know, just a quick note on that. Guys have been getting, a couple guys got booted out of there. I'm still trying to get like Matt DiBenedetto back out of like, I don't know, Facebook jail or something. I don't know how he got booted. It's been weird stuff. So if that's happening, just hit up Al or myself or Jose, and we'll try to get you back in. I know one guy, we got back in. Totally, we didn't do it. It's just some weird, like, creepy thing that's going on. So it's a weird Facebook thing, guys. We're trying to get you back in, Matt. So hang in there. You want to advertise?
Damn Zuckerberg.
Yeah, that zuck. You're getting zucked. Getting salty ads at gmail.com. If you guys want to advertise with the show, shoot me an email. I'll give you my spiel. Getting salty experience at gmail.com for general Q&As. Also, Coob's podcast at gmail.com for all of our news shows. That's helmet cam footage. Doesn't have to be yours. Fire photos, firehouse pics, rigs, tables, mustaches, tattoos, and of course, let's not forget the hot old lady contest that Mrs. Procaccini is in first place.
Got somebody send me something that said that they're gonna knock him out of the box now. So
I'm all pro Mrs. Procaccini.
All right.
She will not knock her out of the box. No way.
All right. And one more thing. Send in your health and safety old school tips of the day, because we're going to take them, field them from you. We'll send them to get vetted by the company. And then if we pick you, we'll give you a shout out. Old safety, Health and safety, old school tip of the days.
Yeah, mental health, guys. You know,
Anything.
physical health. You know, what would be great is like, how do you guys decon? Do you guys clean your own stuff? What goes on with that too? That's so important, you know, for the big C, obviously. So definitely hit us up, and we'd love to add that into the loop.
If somehow your arms shrink and you can't reach the bottoms of your pockets, like Pete, throw that in there too. Don't be afraid to put the alligator arm syndrome in there.
It's because of my thumb. That's
all right. Enough shenanigans. Let's get out of here.
Yep.
I'm tired. Lose tired. Lose cranky. Here
Everyone's tired. I got to go to bed.
All right, guys. Stay low and go.
All right, everybody. We'll see you at the big one.
Cheers, everybody. Good night.